come on in and grab a chair. Now that'll unfold, so that's a blanket for you there, okay? And tea, I think they might have only put one sugar in, I think they got it mixed up. And there's a plain donut there for you. I had a cereal bar, but if you get hungry or need anything else, just let me know, okay? If you have any...
I've eaten since noon.
You have eaten since noon? Okay, are you hungry now? I can get you a full meal if you want.
Yes, okay.
Like bacon and eggs, or do you want something else?
I think I'm too sick to talk.
Okay.
This is ridiculous.
That's okay. You can listen. And if you have any questions as we go along, there's no issues there at all, okay?
Okay.
I got a few things I'll talk to you about. As I told you, my name is Chris. My last name is Lone. I understand your name is Michael. Now, do you go by Mike or Michael? What's your preference?
It doesn't matter.
Okay. I'll probably call you Mike, so unless that really offends you, just leave it with me. Now, you should have any problems with my name because your middle name, one of your middle names is Christopher, so I know you'll have no issues with remembering my name. How come you got more than one middle name, do you know?
I don't know. It's my uncles and my grandfather.
I got 3 middle names as well. And that's because my parents thought I was going to be an only child, so they named me after everybody. So I got named after a grandfather and 2 uncles. So I know what you're going through there, because my initials I get teased about. But I'm going to go over a few things here today. Okay, Mike? Like I say, don't be shy. You'll find I'm pretty relaxed, pretty laid back, because I've dealt with these types of issues before. Okay. I know that earlier tonight that you've had an opportunity to have your rights read to you, which you understood, and you understand your caution. You don't have to say anything, okay, to me or any other police officers. And you had an opportunity to speak with the lawyers. So there's no issues for any of that. Now, having said that, though, anytime that you have a question, all right, don't be shy. Now, I have no issues getting you any food there, so if there's something that you want, okay, I'll get you some food. There's no problems at all. Like I say, I get that for you in about 5 minutes. So, but my job is, as I mentioned to you earlier, I'm from what's called the behavioral sciences section, and we're talking about the missing person when Tori Stafford went missing. And I know you were following a little bit in the media, and you'd follow some little bits and pieces that there was behavioral sciences people involved, right? And sometimes they were criminal profilers. There's been other members in there as well. Threat assessment, and that's what one of my roles is as well. In threat assessment, what my job is to determine the risk. Okay, what's the risk of a certain situation? Now, the situation that we're talking about is you're going to find here that there's nothing you're going to tell me to surprise me. Okay, for 2 reasons. One, I've heard a lot of this stuff before. The second reason is I'm fortunate enough to know what all the case facts are. Okay, so what I have to do is assess what I perceive is a threat. So are you going to go out and kill more people after this situation is done? Okay, that's what my job is, to assess threat level. All right, I already know you're responsible for one death. Okay, so that's what my job is to determine, okay, what's happened here. All right, we're in a situation there now where the investigators have been to the Home Depot in Guelph. Okay, and they've been to the scene the other side of Guelph. Okay, where Tori is. So I'm aware of that stuff. I'm aware of what happened leading up to her disappearance. And obviously you were following it in the media as well to see, obviously, the composite of the girl that was involved with you in this, and also the pictures of the vehicles. And I know, I got to look at it from your standpoint as well. It's human nature, right? I mean, you see that the police aren't advertising they're looking for a male subject, and they're not advertising they're looking for this gray Honda, right? And they show this van. And the reality of it is your vehicle is on the video before that van is anyway. So your vehicle's connected to this through video right from the beginning, okay? And I know it's a pretty good feeling to be involved in something like this and the police don't come near you for over a month, right? Police don't talk to you till May 15th. It's the first time that they come around. So you were feeling pretty comfortable for a little while, okay? So those are the things that I have to look at. But before we go through all that, though, my people just don't wake up one day and decide this is going to happen, and I know that. All right. So there's a lot of ideas that go in people's heads at the time, and if I go through, and I go through your history and your background, there's not a whole hell of a lot you've been involved in life, is there? Right? You're completely under the radar. Okay, you've flown completely under the radar your whole life. I think you're involved in some vehicle thefts and stuff, breaking in some vehicles years ago, right? When you're a kid. And we've all done stupid stuff.
never done any of that.
I can't look you in the face and say I haven't done it. Well, you already told an officer that you did that, right? That you
No,
broke into some
I didn't
cars.
say that's what I did.
What did you say?
I said we went into cars that were unlocked and took things out of them, and that was it.
Okay, I used the term break-in. Okay. Now, the reason I say that is back when I was a detective, when you go into a car or a house where there's locked or unlocked, that's a break-in. Okay, because you're not supposed to be in there. So that's where that terminology came from. Okay, Mike. But anyways, I got to go through a few things with you here. All right. Obviously, you're upset by what's going on. You're here for a reason. And right back at the beginning, the investigators and the case manager, the officer in charge, said that I'm going to follow the evidence and go where the evidence leads me. Okay? And now you're here because the evidence has led the investigators to you. All right? And then I get involved after that. There's been people that I work with in behavioral sciences that have been here from the outset of the investigation. But really, at this point in time, I mean, when I go in and look at your history, there's very little on there. Like I say, you've flown under the radar. You haven't had any major problems with the police. Okay, but now all of a sudden you're involved in this situation, and it's a serious situation, and it's a scary situation. I'm sure you're quite upset and quite concerned about what's going on here. All right. Now the last one I was involved with like this, I don't know if you're aware of it, was a girl named Holly Jones in Toronto when she went missing, and the guy that had abducted her, his name was Michael Briere. And what he was doing is he was watching on his computer for hours and hours and hours. He was looking at child porn to the point that he decides, I want to go try this. And he goes and he grabs Holly and he does some things to her, and then he realizes, what am I going to do? Okay? And he panics. He doesn't know what to do because she's a witness now. And he says, if I just let her go, she's going to tell on me. So he decides that he's not going to let her go. All right? And all that was from something as simple as watching child pornography for hours on end. These things happen, okay? And we can't say it happened close to home. Toronto's not that far from you, okay? These things happen all the time, all right? So what I need to do is sit with you. I already know how. I know the who's, right? Why? I mean, why is up to you, but I can actually probably fill in that blank for you, but that's not what my role here is. If I'm going to assess risk here and see, number one, do you even feel bad about what you've done? That's the first thing I look for. And number two, do I think, okay, he doesn't feel bad, so in turn he's probably going to do this again because he really doesn't care about it the first time it's happened, okay? But I also know that you probably made some other choices in life into who you associate with, right? We've all done that. I mean, we've all brought home a girlfriend or a boyfriend or something that people aren't going to approve of, and we've all had friends that our family's not going to approve of. I've done that. We all have. Okay, so that's what we have to sit and look at here. But it's one of those things that, like I say, I'm not at all upset with you. I'm not mad at you. I don't mind sitting here talking with you. You'll know if I don't want to talk to you because I'll just simply leave, right? And I have no issues with that. But at the same time, you and I need to have open communication. Like, I appreciate you clarifying with me when I comment about a break-in, okay? Because I have to make sure that you understand the terminology I use, and I have to understand the terminology that you're using as well. Now, as I go through this, like I say, there'll be a few things that I may cover off that you may say, well, I don't understand that. But having said that, from reading about you, this to me seems like it's out of character. Now, I could be wrong, right? You may have been planning this for a long period of time, and you may have thoroughly enjoyed this. And if I'm wrong, then you tell me that, all right? But I also know that we all make mistakes, okay? And that's why pencils have erasers, okay? Because we all make mistakes. It's that simple. Spending time with you here, and if I'm wrong, you tell me. But it looks like if you could turn back time, maybe there's a few decisions in life you'd have made a little bit different, all right? If I could turn back time for you, Mike, I would. But it's not that simple, okay? So now you and I have to sit here and face what's happened, okay? I can sit and tell you what happened. I can take you through the day of her disappearance, okay? I mean, I've seen the video, all right? And I know that you didn't do this alone. And but at the end of the day, we've got to deal with this situation, okay? Because it's a young girl that we got to talk about. And if you and I don't sit and talk about your side, then people will only think the worst, right? It's human nature. right? You've done it and I've done it. We always think the worst until we know the facts, okay? So that's what you and I need to sit here and work and discuss and work through. Again, if I'm wrong, you tell me, okay? But I really believe if you could turn back time, you would deal with this a little bit different, okay? And there may have been a rush, it may have been exciting for a period of time, but then reality sets in. You have to sit and live with the fact of what's happened here, okay? And that's what we're doing here. We have to sit and deal with what's happened. Now, I can take you to any point in that day when Tori goes missing, from the time she goes missing to the time things get out of hand, all right? And I can outline that to you. And I can outline some of the what's called post-offense behavior. So after the offense, some of the behavior that happened there, getting rid of some of the evidence and things like that, okay? Your vehicle's been seized, and there's been some steps you've taken to kind of mask or get rid of some of that evidence. You may be successful in some ways, but you won't be successful getting rid of all the evidence and all the DNA, because there's not a cleanser out there that'll do that. I've sat with dozens of people that have tried, okay? There's no magical stain remover out there to get rid of DNA. So really at this point, what you have left is your word and your credibility. And people always think the worst, okay? Until they know the truth. You do it and I do it, it's human nature. So we're all gonna think the worst until we know why this has happened in your mind. And again, if it's something where you're like Michael Briere, where you looked at a lot of child porn and then decided you were gonna try it, then that's fine. If it wasn't your idea, then that's fine too. But we can't change what the case facts are, all right? Is there anything that I've said other than that break-in thing that I've got wrong at this point in time? Because I'm breaking it down.
Wrong or right.
That's fine. You don't have to say if it's wrong or right, okay? But you know deep down that it is. And you know deep down that this is your chance to get it off your chest. You're not sitting there the rest of your life saying, I guess I should have said something, all right? I guess I should have got it off my chest and said my side. Because this is your last chance to do it. The fact that you're here and the fact that they've already, they know where the victim is, okay, and they know your steps, this is it. Do you watch Ultimate Fighting at all?
No.
You don't watch it? Okay. You have to take the steps now to live the rest of your life, okay? This is what you have to do. You and I need to talk about this, okay? So I've got to determine, as part of my job, when all is said and done here, do I think Mike's done? This is it, he's made his mistake, he realizes how wrong the mistake that he made and he's willing to look past it? Or do I have to sit here and say, all right, my report's going to say very simple, I think this guy's going to reoffend. I think this guy is going to kill.
Isn't that for courts to decide if I've even done it or not?
The courts will decide if what your role is in this particular case. My role is to write a report for the court to determine what I think your risk level is. And that's there's other reports that my units write as well. And that's what our job is. We deal with these types of situations and the reasons why people do this stuff, okay? Like I say, this may have been a thing that you just snapped and did something. That stuff happens. Or it may have been something you planned for many months and got some enjoyment out of the plan.
I
okay?
didn't do anything.
Well, that's not entirely true either.
That is
okay?
entirely true.
No.
I didn't do anything.
No, you can try and cement yourself into that, okay? But at the same time, you're not doing yourself any good by not being truthful here, okay? Because by not being truthful, all you have left is your credibility, Mike. That's all you have left, okay? You're not the only person who's been arrested and charged, okay? And there's no surprises left anymore, okay? It's not even a surprise, it's why this happened.
I'm also not the only innocent person who's ever been arrested and charged.
Well, and that's true. There's been people that have been arrested for things where there's no evidence, but unfortunately in this case there's lots of evidence to determine your role in this crime, okay? Even the steps that you've taken to try and eliminate your involvement, okay? Clearly, I guess maybe I should explain the evidence a little bit more. Maybe that's my mistake. But because I'm so comfortable in the facts and that I've dealt with all this, maybe I should put you at ease a little bit more. But the reality of it is, as I mentioned earlier, your vehicle's seen on the video. Okay, the girl who's on the video who walks away with Tori has been identified, and she's been identified as her and Tori being in your car. And the three of you and her and Tori, go to the Guelph area, go to the Home Depot, okay? grabbing of Tori, there was a planned event that you were going to grab her. You're going to grab a girl. But this other person was going to do it, and the other person got the girl, put her in your car. All right, and then there's other steps that are taken from there. Okay, there's things that happen at Home Depot. There's things that happen outside of Guelph. And there's things that happen to Tori. All right, before she's gone, and you're involved in that, and you can't mask that. You can't change it. Okay.
No.
Because what's happened has happened. I can't turn back the hands of time, and neither can you. Okay? There's nothing I can do to turn back the hands of time and say, I wish Mike would have reacted to this situation a little bit differently. Okay? There's been tips come in on you sooner than recently. There's been a few tips. There's been a few people that have mentioned your name in the past. And when all these tips are put together, then the ball starts rolling. And then the fact that when they dissect these tapes, and they also go in both directions of the tape, they go before they see Tori, and they go after they see Tori. And lo and behold, there's your car, all right? And that starts it as well. So there's, and then after, and I don't know if you're aware of it, how much media attention was given, but then they start collecting the videos from the highway, right, to see which vehicles went where. So the video is going to play a very key role. Videotapes to evidence will play a very key role in this investigation in determining what happened, because there's cameras everywhere, right? The average Canadian is on camera 8 times a day, whether we go to a gas station, whether we go to Tim Hortons, or we drive through a light that has a camera. Certain communities have cameras, certain weather stations have cameras, or news stations. So we will go through, as Canadians, a minimum of 8 cameras a day. So you go through cameras, as have I. We've all done that. There's no questioning that we've all seen these cameras or been on these cameras. But there's no doubt in my mind, okay? There's no doubt in my mind that you're involved in the abduction, okay, of Tori. No doubt in my mind at all. I've followed the evidence. I've read the file, okay? There's no doubt in my mind. We're past that, okay? And the only concern or the issue that I have is why you did this. What caused you to do this? Was it something you, like you say, is this something you've done before and you've been involved in the death of other people and you enjoyed this? Am I sitting across the desk from Paul Bernardo here? Am I sitting across from someone who's made a mistake? Okay? And that's going to be the question that's asked of you. All right? I'll get you a bucket there just a second. You gotta get sick, pull your boots there. Okay? I've seen it before. You're not gonna offend me or bother me. So if you gotta be sick, Mike, go right ahead. I'll get you some paper towels or something. If you feel like you're gonna be sick, just grab the. I'll have the bucket there handy for you. Okay? Just leave it right there. You and I need to have a discussion here. This isn't a parking ticket. Okay? This is reality. Okay, and people are, I've already told you, you know this. People assume the worst until they know the truth. Okay? And people are going to assume the worst of you unless you and I sit here and clarify it. Okay, something's pushed you to do this. Okay, you can't just fly under the radar your entire life. Okay, Mike? It doesn't happen. It's not realistic. Okay? I'm not going to sit and tell you that it happens. Something brings this on. And when you sit and talk to someone who had a troubled life like Michael Briere and just gets pushed into doing this and panics and thinks, what would it be like to take a kid and touch and rub a kid and then wish you could stop, okay? And people can't, and that's the whole issue here, all right? We can't control every emotion, all right? We can't control some of our urges, some of our thoughts. None of us can, okay? And I can't look you in the face and say I haven't made a mistake or made a bad decision in life, because I have. But the reality of it is, you and I have to accept that and move on, okay? Because I can walk out there and never see you again. Like, I can do that, right? My job here is done. The job here is done, as you'll find out tomorrow, as things start to be released. There is no more questions. There is no more long, drawn-out investigations. They're already sending people home to spend time with their families, okay? They're scaling back what's happened because it's been cleared, and they know what's happened. The pieces of evidence have been gathered. So that's reality. I can't downplay that. But you and I need to walk out of here together, okay, with what happened here. You and I have to sit and say, this is what pushed Mike over the top. This is what pushed Mike to get involved in something like this. Because if we don't, then you sit here on your own and you have to take it. Okay, and is that necessarily fair? All right.
I have to sit here on my own anyways and take this.
To an extent you do, yes. You have to sit there and decide, am I going to get rid of this and get this off my chest so people understand my side, or am I going to sit there curled up and keep it in for the rest of my life? All right? You need to be realistic about this, okay? You have no battle plan to deal with this, right? It's happened, it's spun out of control, and you're thinking, okay, if I ever get caught for it, what am I going to do? Well, your plan isn't going to work, okay? Because you're not built for this shit. This isn't what you're about, okay? You're not some sick bastard, right? That sits there and gets enjoyment out of hurting people, all right? So now you have to live with this, okay? And to live with it, one of the first ways, right? It's like if someone's an alcoholic, what's the first thing they have to do? Acknowledge they got the issue, all right? You have an issue here in that there's overwhelming evidence, compelling evidence that indicates you're involved in what's happened to Tori, okay? And I can't change that, and you can't change that at this stage. But you need to be honest, and you need to understand your credibility, Mike, is all you have left. All you have left from here on in is your credibility. And you sitting here saying nothing doesn't do you a bit of good, because no one's going to know. And then all of a sudden, 10 years from now or 5 years from now, you decide to say something, who's going to listen? Nobody, okay? This is your chance to say your piece, all right? The evidence is very clear. I'm only giving you bits and pieces. If I sit here from A to Z and tell you all of it, we'll be here all night, okay? And that's really not my purpose, all right? So you need to understand what's going on, okay? There's evidence to show what happened here, all right? And what caused you to do what you did. That's what's important. What would cause you to get involved in an incident like this, okay? And like you say, you probably were feeling pretty good about yourself for a while, because really, like you said, it wasn't until May 15th that the police had been around to see you. And they never said anything about your vehicle being on the video. They released the other vehicle instead, all right? But you know your vehicle's on there. It's plain as day. And like I say, if you want, and you can see probably I'm trying not to, out of respect actually for you, but I can sit and get as graphic as I want, okay? Because none of this stuff bothers me, because I've seen it hundreds of times, okay? But if I sit and go over what's happened here with Tori, you may not be real happy about it, because it's going to cause you to relive all this crap, okay? And maybe you want to, because I can tell you, I've sat with guys that wanted me to say it again so they could hear what they've accomplished. And I've had that, where they want me to say it 2 and 3 times because they get a rush out of that. I don't think that's you, okay? You're not some sick guy, okay? I'm not sitting across from Paul Bernardo, okay? I know that, and I know people that have sat across from him, okay? And I know 2 officers that have in different stages of their lives, okay? And I know what he's all about. You're not that guy, all right? But at the same time, you can't just sit here and say, well, I hope this all goes away, right? This isn't like a list your girlfriend gives you to say, here's a list of things to do. Can you go pick up a few things at the grocery store for me and get some gas? This isn't what that is, okay? This is a lot more serious than a to-do list. There's no doubt in my mind, okay, that you've done this to Tori. No doubt in my mind. We're past that, okay? And there's no doubt, to me, I truly believe it's out of character. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it's out of character. But Mike, I can't sit and talk to you and pretend that nothing's happened, okay? I can't turn back time, okay? You've been involved in this thing. Along the way, there's been some decisions made that I would like to think you would take back, okay? But again, I believe this is out of character for you. I could be wrong. Like I don't think you feel very good about this. I don't think you feel very good about what happened to this girl. And I'm sure that every day you've had to deal with this stress, all right? Now we need to understand what pushed you to this point. What caused you to do this? Like what would cause you, who's been flying under the radar, you're actually a quite popular person when the investigators talk to people. You're a very well-liked individual. There's not a bunch of people say a lot of bad shit about you, all right? There are some people that report that you might be involved in this, but there's not a lot of people that sitting there saying bad shit about you, all right? So that tells me that you have some people that respect you and some people that like you. But that also tells me, again, that this must be out of character for you, okay? As soon as I sat and talk about people that have been involved in killing more than one person, you get disgusted, okay? You may well be disgusted with me, or you may be disgusted with the thought of the whole thing, okay? But that's not what you want to hear. You're disgusted by that. What does that tell me? It tells me that you're not the type of person that wants to go and kill a bunch of people, okay? but we need to deal with reality. And the reality of it is your credibility is all you have left at this point. If you sit there and say nothing, everybody's going to assume the worst, okay? And you may be painted with a picture that you're not real happy with, okay? And I'm the only one that feels like sitting in here with you, right? There's no investigators lined up in here sitting with you. Why do you think that is? Right? Because they've been working at this for weeks, okay? They're tired, and they've been away from their families, and none of them want to come in here and talk to you, okay? I have no issue with it. I'm neutral. I don't have these issues. I haven't been away from my family. I don't mind talking to you. Like, I've talked to people that have been involved in things far worse than what they're saying you did here. Far worse, okay? I can sit and list the things that I've been involved in. There are people who have done things that have been a threat to our national security, terrorism in Canada, where I've dealt with people that have been involved in murdering more than 3 people, all right? I've been involved with people who have abducted and taken the life of children. I've been involved in that. I've dealt with many people who are sex offenders that habitually and repeatedly touch and molest children. I've dealt with that. That stuff doesn't bother me, okay? But what's going on here is that you're just in there, you're just a big bundle of nerves, and you don't know what to do. You don't know whether to sit here, shake, shit, puke, you don't know what to do. But the reality of it is, at the end of the day, the evidence is the evidence, okay? And the evidence clearly shows you're responsible for the abduction of Tori, okay? And I also know that she's no longer with us, okay? And you're responsible for that too, okay? And there's a sexual component to this as well. So you might want to sit and get this off your chest and go through your side with me, all right? Because if I just walk away, at minimum, that's what people are going to think, at minimum, all right? When we sit and look at Michael Briere, when he was in Toronto,
I don't know these people.
okay, well, what happened was Holly Jones was an 11-year-old girl. She's abducted in Toronto, okay? And there was a big search for her, and her mother was on the news repeatedly pleading for her safety. And what Michael Briere had done, as I had mentioned, is he was watching pornography on the internet. On his internet at home, he kept looking at it. He had this desire as he saw it to get more and more. So then he decides, after watching this for a period of time, that he wants to touch a kid. So he goes out and he finds a kid and brings her into his apartment. And she goes willingly. He talks her into it. In she goes. And he does some sexual things to her. But then he panics because he's thinking, holy crap, she can identify me. She knows where I live. What do I do? Okay, and he causes her death. And later on, it takes a bit of time, but the investigators track him down, and he is arrested because of the evidence. And the first thing he does when he gets on the camera is he looks at the camera and says, I apologize, here's what I did. And he outlines what happened with the pornography, and then he actually outlines he gives actually some parents some safety tips for their kids. He says, if you don't want your kid to be abducted, here's what you need to do. And he tells them what kids should be doing, okay? And what happened to him? You haven't even heard about him. Why is that? Because he apologized and moved on. That's why you've never heard of him, okay? But you've heard of Paul Bernardo, who didn't apologize, right? Everyone knows who Paul Bernardo is, right? That happened in southwestern Ontario. Everyone knows who he is. Everyone knows who Carla is, right? And is this a Paul and Carla thing? That's going to be asked, okay? Make no mistake, I'm not making this shit up, okay? I was involved with the Green Ribbon Task Force, which was the Paul and Carla thing in the 90s, okay? I had all kinds of involvement from the time it was unsolved to the time it was solved. But no one's ever heard of Michael Briere for the reason I just told you, all right? But they sure as hell know who these other guys are, right? And it's the same situation you've been in. If someone, a friend of yours, lies to you, or someone rips you off for $50 or $20, right? And you catch them. You say, listen, why did you take my money? And the guy says, I didn't take your money, right? You're pretty pissed off with that guy. You know what, Mike? I took your money. I apologize. I was gonna pay you back, but you came and I panicked, so I took your money. You can live with that, all right? But you have some explaining to do. Okay, that's reality. I can't change that. Okay? If this is something that got out of control, that you just planned on taking her and you thought you were going to put her back, or just take her for a ride, that's fine. It got out of hand, then we need to talk about that. Okay? You need to sit and explain that and say why. Okay? If not, then I say people think the worst until they know. All right, that's human nature. You and I have both done that in our lives. If we don't know the facts, all right, people can think the worst, and this is what you have to deal with. Okay, this is reality. There's even steps that things that you've done to your vehicle to try and conceal the crime. like I say, you just can't, there's no magical stuff that washes away DNA or gets rid of DNA, okay? And keeping in mind, a lot of the stuff that you did is on cameras and other spots, okay? I mean, Home Depot has all kinds of cameras, okay? Parking lots and inside the store, so even if you don't go into the Home Depot store, there's still cameras in the parking lot for security reasons and for thefts and other reasons. So this case primarily is solved through cameras, all right? But also there's other things. I mean, you didn't do this alone, as I've told you. I never told you who was with you, though I know, and I know what her role was in this, okay? And I also know it was your vehicle. But I can sit and write this out. I can draw this thing out from the time Tori is picked up to the time that her end has come. And I can tell you that stuff, all right? What good is it coming from me? The investigators are going to do that, okay? My role is to sit and determine what the hell happened here. What caused you to get involved in something like this? And that's all my role is. And if I walk away saying, I don't know what caused it, then that's the way it goes. Too bad, right? That's just the way it goes. But if I sit with you and determine what happened and how this got off the rails, then you're not sitting there alone, all right? Because you may be a lonely person for a period of time until people understand what the hell happened, okay? And the person that judges you, the people that judge you, will all be people that have made mistakes themselves. But human nature is very simple. We all appreciate when people are honest with us, and when we all admit our mistakes and acknowledge when things get out of hand. There's nothing wrong with that. But then there's also times when we're not tolerant of people that won't be honest in a situation. It's not like I'm not trying to belittle this or make it seem insignificant. I know what I'm asking here. Okay, I know that I'm not asking you to do something easy. I know that. Okay. And I know just because I know the case facts, and I've sat in rooms for many hours with people under circumstances like yours or worse. I'm not trying to downplay it or minimize it or be like some kind of smartass. But at the same time, you have to understand, not only is there a ring of truth to what I'm saying and a ring of experiences to what I'm saying, because I've been there and been around it, but there is no other way. You don't have any other options. There's nothing else that you can do to change what's happened to her. We can't turn back time. However, we can explain how things got off the rails, whether it was something that happened slowly or just went right off the rails right from the beginning. And it can be as simple as you driving up the highway and think somebody spots you with her in your car, and you make a series of decisions. All right. I mean, that's happened in the past where people have picked someone up and they weren't sure what they were going to do. Somebody saw them, and guess what happens, right? They panic. I can give you another example of that because it was in the news recently. I don't know if you know it. It was a case that was 38 years old. Okay, happened in Northern Ontario, up by North Bay. And the guy was actually living in London. He moved away 38 years after the death of this 12-year-old girl. And through technology and DNA, they were able to solve it. Have you ever even heard of that case? Why? Because the guy said, yeah, he was driving up the road, he took this kid, and as they're driving up the road, he sees a person, he grabs her by the head and pulls her head down the dash of his truck. And someone saw him do it, but didn't know who the person was. And years later, he gets convicted of it. He acknowledges, yeah, you know what? I screwed up. And you've never even heard of this guy. And that happened in London last year. That happened in October, that it was a great big media event that had happened. And it was done in court in December. And the whole thing was done. And there was media attention to that. Nobody even, it wasn't even on your radar, okay? So these things do happen, all right? Whether you don't hear about them or not, these things happen. Why do you think the OPP has a behavioral sciences section? This is all the stuff that we deal with, okay? We deal with occurrences that are unusual. We deal with situations that aren't regular situations, and that's not what this is. This isn't a regular situation. This is a couple of people that made a series of decisions that hopefully they understand aren't quite right, and that they feel bad about, and are willing to apologize and accept the fact that hey, I made a mistake, and I wish I could take it back. But I just sitting there, I'm thinking, am I dealing with someone who's got all these issues? Am I dealing with someone who people are going to think is some kind of monster? Or am I dealing with someone who let something get out of control? Okay? and they got excited and couldn't control it. I think that it got out of hand. If you're asking my opinion, I'm telling you, and I'm on video saying it, I think this situation got out of hand. That's my opinion, and I believe that, okay? I don't think that you're some kind of monster. If I did, you'll find me pretty candid. You'll find that I'll come right out and tell you, Mike, okay? I don't think that, okay? I think this got out of control. I think it got out of hand, okay? Are you some kind of monster? Or did you make a mistake here? You made a mistake, right? This is a mistake, right, Mike? You'd take it back if you could? This is a mistake, right, Mike? You'd take it back? If you could turn back the hands of time, Mike, would you do this a little bit different? Mike, I'm talking to you. If you could turn back the hands of time, you're not some monster. You made a mistake, right? You'd take this back if you could? This is a mistake, Mike. You need to deal with this.
I am no monster,
I know
but
you're
I
not a
did
monster.
not do what you think
No,
I did.
I know you did. We're past that, okay?
No.
We're past that, Mike, okay?
Mm-mm.
I know you're not a monster. If you did, if I thought you're a monster, I would tell you. I'm gonna be honest with you. I wouldn't just walk out. I would spend some time with you. If I thought you're a monster, just because I want to see what makes you tick. But you're not a monster, all right? This thing has consumed you. Look at you, right? You can barely eat or drink. You haven't touched your donut, right? Why is that? Because your guts are eating yourself up inside, okay? You can't sit and say that you're innocent and what's the first thing you did when you got in here? You just laid down and curled up, right? It's all over. You know it's over, okay? You know it's done, okay? You don't have to be an expert in body language. All you've done is lay around in a fetal position since you've been here. That's not how innocent people act. That's not how people that are falsely accused of something act. It's the last thing they do.
Possibly that it's
It's the last
freezing. I
thing.
haven't eaten since noon. It couldn't be that this is all just a huge shock to me. No, it
Yes.
couldn't have been any of that at all.
It's probably all of that, but it's also the fact that you're involved in it. It's probably all of that, Mike, okay? The fact that maybe you haven't eaten that much, and maybe you are cold, there's no question. The first thing you said to me was you're cold and hungry, so that's why I grabbed you that stuff, okay? And I'm willing to accept that. Maybe that is part of the issue, okay? But there is a larger issue here, okay? And it's the issue of the evidence and the issue that you're involved in this, okay? And we can't change that. But there's no problem with acknowledging that. Like I say, nothing's going to change now. I mean, you have, it's up to you. There's a lot of things I'd be willing to sit and do with you if you're willing to do it. Maybe you want to sit and you and I discuss an apology, I would sit and do that. Whether it's a verbal one where you say you're sorry or whether we write one out, I'd be willing to do that. If you want to go for a drive with me and you drive around and explain things, I would sit and do that. Okay? I have no issue with that. Like, I have no ill will, anger towards you. I have none. You don't make me mad. You don't upset me. Nothing like that. Okay. The only issue I have is I don't fully understand, and I acknowledge it. I don't have to come in here as a behavioral scientist and tell you that I don't understand something, but I'm telling you that. Okay. And I don't understand how you can fly under the radar for 28 years. Okay. And get involved in this. Though it does happen, all right? It does, it happens actually all the time where this stuff happens. Again, I've actually given you a couple examples already of people that didn't have, real dealings with the police and get involved in this stuff where they abduct somebody. That happens all the time. Sometimes it's as simple, one of the most common ways an abduction happens is through hitchhiking, or someone's hitchhiking, someone picks them up and they realize, oh shit, and they just decide to keep them for a period of time. That happens all the time. Happens in Ontario, happens across Canada, okay? This one's a little bit different because, the girls picked up Terry, let's call a spade. Terry picks up Tori, brings her to your car, and you guys drive away. That's reality, okay? Can't change that. That's a different kind of abduction, and I've acknowledged it. It's unusual, okay? It's an unusual kind of abduction, and it's not normal. I don't know how much you know about Terry, but anyways, she's involved in this. We know that. She's acknowledged this. We know that. She's already confessed and apologized to this. Been there, done that. So there's no real surprises here, okay? The only issue is how the hell did this spin out of control? What's your side of it? Because, we already know hers. But what's your side of it? And that's what I'm here to sit with you and talk to you about, because I wasn't the person that talked to Terry. The other officers did. I volunteered here to come here and shoot the shit with you because I've talked to people in worse situations than you, okay? And like I say, you've been pretty respectful with me. You're not giving me a hard time. You're not being rude to me. So I'll sit with you because, but you know, the reality of it is I can walk away and you're going to sit and deal with this on your own for the rest of your life, okay? I'm here to tell you that I'm pointing out some obvious things to you. All I've really done is point out common sense and put some experiences I've had in behavioral sciences, but the reality of it is we both know people think the worst until they know, and we both know that people, someone to fly on the radar for 28 years and then be involved in something like this, something's caused it, okay? So all I've really done is point out the obvious to you, all right? You're a smart guy. You're nobody's fool. You know the situation. You know you're in a tough spot, but there's a lot of things here that we just can't sit and ignore, okay? And you know, you just sit and say, "Wow, you know, it didn't really happen." We're just too far past that. It's unrealistic, okay? Maybe a month or so ago when the investigation was new, you might be able to pull that, but you can't now. It's just all you're doing is hurting your own credibility. And again, this is your opportunity to say your piece, but you got some pretty serious explaining to do here, okay? In the big picture. Now, without me, if I just leave you here, you got some stuff that you need to explain. I don't have to explain it. You do. Okay, I've already told you what my opinion is, and my opinion is something caused you to do this. Okay? Because there's little things. If I just say a sentence or a word, right, I can make this thing seem a lot worse than it is, right? I could just sit here and say, you know what, Mike? I said, I'm going to leave here. You can spend the next little while figuring out how you're going to explain the purchase of garbage bags. Okay, well, you have this kid with you. How are you going to explain that? Okay? I can explain it because I've been around this type of stuff. How are you going to do it on your own? Okay? I've acknowledged already what my thoughts are of you. Okay? I've told you that from the beginning, that this is out of character for you. Okay? But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's why you don't want to talk. Because maybe you're thinking, you know what, Chris, you're wrong. You know, maybe I've done this before. Maybe I plan on doing it again. All right? I don't think that. But I mean, you could be sitting here playing me, right? How would I know? Okay? I can tell you that I don't think that's the case because I've sat across from a lot of people, again, that have been through stuff a lot worse than you. You made a mistake, man. Deal with it and we move on. Here's what happened. I'm not saying for a second that you sat and watched a bunch of pornography and that's what pushed you to do this. That's not what I'm saying at all. All I'm doing is I'm drawing a comparison to another case that I was involved in that was very similar, okay? But then you in fact helped me by pointing out that you don't even know who these people are because nobody became insignificant in the end because the person who did it was honest about it and said what happened and actually apologized and then offered tips to parents to safeguard their children. I'm not asking you to do that unless you want it. I'm not asking you to do anything you don't want to do, but I am asking you to be truthful. That's the only thing I'm asking of you, okay? Because the truth is the only thing you have at this point. Your credibility, Mike, is all you have left, okay? You sit here 2-3 years from now and say, okay, I got a story, I'd like people to listen. Who's going to listen? Why would they listen, okay? You don't have the credibility once all the versions are out there and the evidence is all out there. Now you go, oh, geez, I see what the evidence is now. Now I can make my story match the evidence. Nobody cares, right? Because you have no credibility. At this stage here, you have credibility because you can acknowledge your side and acknowledge what happened, and then you can move on from there, all right? And that's the first piece. It's the same I told you earlier. If someone has a drinking problem, is to acknowledge it and move on, okay? Here's what happened. I'm sorry. And I moved on. And if you're not comfortable with apologizing, maybe not everybody is comfortable saying they're sorry or admitting they made a mistake, that's fine. I'm not going to ask you to do something that you're not comfortable with. However, I am concerned that you're just going to sit here and, oh, well, take a chance. Maybe I'll just leave it and it'll all work itself out. Well past that, Mike. This is not going to work itself out, okay? We're past that. You need to acknowledge what's caused you to do this, okay? And if it's because you're loaded up on oxys and it seemed like a good idea at the time, then maybe we better talk about that, okay? Because it appears to me that half of Woodstock is on oxys based on what I've seen from this investigation. So if you're part of the norm in this town and you made a series of bad decisions because of it, then we better talk about it. And people will be an awful lot more sympathetic to that than you just sitting there saying nothing, okay? Because there's a very large percentage of people in this town that are on oxys, okay? And in the big picture, that will become part of an inquiry as well as to why is it it's so easy to get oxys in this town, and why are there so many people? Because percentage-wise, I travel all over Canada, all right? I'm based in the headquarters, and really I travel all over Canada for different cases. I've never seen oxy like this in my life, okay? And other seasoned investigators have come on this case have never seen oxy like this in their lives. There's a problem with oxy in this town, okay? Very much so, okay? So we can't change that. So if you've had too many oxys, you've been strung on them too long, then that's fine, okay? And I can tell you all kinds of stories of people that are addicted to them, okay? Sometimes it's people that are using it for recreation, for a different type of high, different type of drug, but often it's hard-working people that get an injury or get in a car accident and they get addicted to them, right? That happens, okay, for the pain. But it's highly addictive, right? I think if you review the stats, you'll find that people who are on it will tell you it's more addictive than cigarettes, it's more addictive than alcohol, all right? So if you've been strung out on oxys for a period of a couple months, and then you made a bad decision, and all of a sudden at the time it seemed good, like it's like when you're drunk and you pick up a girl, that was a great idea, right? Till you figure out later she was married, or a stalker, I've had that, and then you realize that was a bad decision, okay? If that's all this is, okay, Mike, is a bit of abuse of oxys, then you and I should talk about that now, all right? Because it's going to be easier for you and I to explain that to this community than anything else, all right? Because the percentages, you know how many people are on oxys around here, right? The police know how many people are on oxys. They had a rough idea before. They can tell you who has oxys, right? And they can tell you who's supplying them, right? Just through this investigation. So the oxy issue will dry itself up. But there's also a very good chance that there's going to be a separate public inquiry into the OxyContin use. Who's prescribing this shit? How come there's so much of it on the street? All right? And how can somebody go pick up a prescription for an injured mother or father or relative and just be given these oxys, right? And how many of these oxys actually make it to the person that they're prescribed to? So there's an outlying issue here, okay? There's a secondary issue with oxys in this town. And if that's what this is, and you had too many oxys, and you made a series of bad decisions, then why don't you and I talk about that? Because we can already show that the victim's parents are using oxys, right? They've admitted that themselves, right? So who are they to judge you, all right, when you're doing the same thing they are? And maybe they're doing it more, all right? I'm prepared to sit and listen that you didn't brainstorm all this stuff and that this got out of control, like I am, or I wouldn't be here, okay? I am prepared to listen to that, okay? But you have to also acknowledge that there's a problem, okay? And it's just like drinking. If you're an alcoholic, the worst part of that is you're out driving a car, right? And that's one of the worst things with alcoholics, is the drunk driving. But you have to acknowledge it and move on. But you're no different than a large percentage of people in this town, okay? And however you got hooked on them, whether it was through recreation, or it was fun, or it was a source of income, then that's fine, okay? Because when you sit back, and I'm quite a bit older than you, and you go back, when I was in high school, if someone dealt a hard drug, they got many years in jail. They got years in jail, minimum 5 years to deal drugs. When have you ever heard of anyone getting 5 years in jail for anything, right? They don't. So drug use, there's more drug traffickers out there now than there's ever been. And if one gets arrested for drug trafficking, 2 or 3 pick up that person's clientele and expand. So if that's all this is a series of poor decisions through the use of OxyContins, then why aren't you and I talking about that, right? That's what you and I need to talk about. If this is OxyContins, and I've sat here and discussed how people want to draw parallels to Paul Bernard or some kind of monster, that's not right, okay? But only you and I can get to that, Mike, okay? Only you and I can get there. Because if that's all this is the abuse of OxyContins to the point that it messed your head up and you grabbed this kid, then we better talk about that. Because maybe there's a panic after you grab the kid.
I didn't grab any kid.
Well, the kid was put in your car, all right, by Terry. So if you didn't grab her yourself, that's fine. We certainly drove with that kid in your car, okay? And that's the issue, and you're on video doing it, okay? So if you didn't grab her yourself, that's fine, okay? I can live with that. But what we have to do is explain what happened after the kid was in your car. And I'm willing to sit and do that with you, okay? Because your credibility is all you're going to have left. And this might be the only logical explanation, is drug use, right? Drug abuse. You're not the creator of OxyContin, you're not the first person to use it, and you're not going to be the last. However, it will dry up in this community in the near future as a result of this. But And I never said for a second that you went and took that kid from the school, because you didn't. But that kid was taken from that school, all right, by Terry, and put in your car, okay? And you were there, and you were part of when the kid was driven to Guelph, okay, and the Home Depot. And then from there, the kid, into the demise of the kid. But this is the stuff we need to explain, okay? This is the stuff we need to acknowledge. I need you to be like you were, Mike, when I first come in, and you clarified, because it was me that screwed up. I was the one that said break into a car, because it was my terminology. You need to be the one that corrects me, okay? And you need to be the one that said, like I said that you're involved in this abduction. Well, you know what, maybe I better be a little more clear with my words. Terry grabbed that kid from the school, okay? We know that. For a number of ways. There's a whole host of issues. Plus the fact, she matches the comps, and she's on the video, and it's later determined to be her, and then she actually subsequently admits to it anyways. But there's all kinds of evidence of that. And your car was on that video at the time. It's a unique car, right? It's a nice looking car. It's got a unique spoiler on it, and it grabbed the attention of the video camera. There's no question. I mean, your car's nicer than mine. My car wouldn't be on there. But that's reality. These are the things that you need to talk about to get your side out now. Because 2 years, no one's going to give a rat's ass. No one's going to give a shit, right? 2 years from now. Because you know what? Mike had his chance and he didn't say anything. Nobody can control your destiny now but you, okay? I can. I mean, I've already told you. I've already put my cards on the table. I'm already going to walk out of there and say, I've spent my time with Mike, and I don't think he's a monster. I don't think he's going to kill 2 or 3 people in his life. Okay, I'm a threat assessor. That's what I do. I work in behavioral sciences. My job is supposed to be to determine the future. What's Mike's threat when he leaves here? Mike's had his opportunity to say his piece, okay? And he's choosing not to say it. But at the same time, you've also been polite and enough, and I don't know what the other word. Polite, and you've been able to point out if I don't word something wrong. I have no issue with that. In fact, I'm rather glad you did, because it shows that you're paying attention and you understand. I want you to take this serious, right? I don't want you to think that this is all going to go away, because it won't. And you have to acknowledge that. You have to know that. You're smart enough to know this isn't just going to go away, right? You can't just wake up tomorrow and pretend it didn't happen. But what you need to be comfortable with is tell the truth about what your role is, how this thing spun out of control like it did, and how a guy who's flown under the radar for 28 years ends up in this situation with all this overwhelming evidence implicating him to this crime, okay? That's the issue. Again, I don't think that, I've told you that, I don't think you're some kind of monster, but we've gotten off the rails here. Somehow you get off the rails and got yourself into this thing, okay? And if it wasn't your idea, then I wouldn't mind hearing that as well, okay? But it's got to be your words, Mike, not mine, okay? You don't need me to draw you a map or draw a little story of what happened from the time that she's picked up to the time that she's gone. I don't have to do that. The evidence is going to do that. But if that's all this is because of the oxys and nothing else, then why don't we talk about that? Now, I've talked a lot about, is it the oxys? Is that what the problem is here? Is that what's caused you to get involved in this?
Taken oxys?
What's that?
Taken oxys?
Yeah, I know you've taken oxys, yeah. Is that what's caused you to make this bad decision, or is this what caused this poor decision to be made, or where it's spun out of control? That's what I'm asking you there. If it's the oxys, then that's what we deal with. Like I said, there's a large percentage of people in this town that are on oxys. When I went out to get these coffee, there was 2 standing in front of Tim Hortons. I would almost, maybe if they weren't on oxys, they were on something, all right? There's a lot of zombies in this town. There's a lot of people that are abusing this drug, okay? And if that's what it is, and you joined a large population of this town using oxys, and you made a bad decision, that's reality. Because these people that are taking the oxys make bad decisions every day. They lie every day. They manipulate every day, right? That's because that's how they get the drug to begin with. Sometimes they may have bills they haven't paid. They may have drug debts that they owe. They may have to fly under the radar for a little while and keep a low profile because they owe money. But
the only reason I'm sitting here is because I got involved with bad people.
Yes, I agree with that. Probably worse people than you've ever imagined in your life. All right? Yes, you did. Yeah, you did. I don't know if you know how many of them that were bad or just how bad were they. I don't know at what stage You knew they were bad. But I'm gonna ask you a question here. And I'd like you to answer it. It's not gonna implicate you in anything. Did you have any idea how bad these people were? No. Do you think you do now, or was there a point when you caught on how bad, or I actually don't have to answer that. But you know what I mean, you've got in with some tough people, all right? I know that. Why do you think I've been sitting here going on and on, like, you know, you're flying under the radar and stuff, okay? Because this isn't you, all right? If you're one of these bad people, would we not know that? Would we not have a great big sheet of issues with you, of incidents, right? Of perhaps violent crime, drug crime, maybe home invasions to get drugs. Don't have any of those, okay? Don't have any of this, all right? But this is what you need to explain. These bad people and what their role is, okay? Because this is your chance. You've done all you can for these people. And now because of these people, you're sitting here, all right? With the last chance. This is the only time you're gonna have any credibility.
So why aren't all these people sitting here?
Because they already were today. They are, and this isn't done yet, all right? But there's already been people in here today. And there's actually people in the other interview rooms as we speak. They've been cycled through all night, okay? And I will tell you this, and actually I'll put it on a piece of paper and I'll sign it. Every person we've had in here today has confessed. Every single one of them today, all right? Because one piece of evidence leads to another, which leads to another, until bang, it happens. Okay, it starts out with a video, starts out with some other information coming in, and then it starts out with, okay, outlining the evidence to one person. But every person in here today has saved their ass. Okay, every single one of them. And guess who the only person is that the threat assessor and the behavioral sciences guy is interviewing? Just you.
Everybody saved their ass.
Everybody said their piece, man. Everybody had their chance.
How do these people... It's not saving their ass.
No, you're probably right. They said their piece. That's probably a better way to put it. Everyone said their side of the story. Well, they had the chance now before someone else could say it for them. That's maybe a better way to put it. But every one of them has today. And that's reality. Another kind of an interesting tidbit, though, too. They were pretty, I wouldn't say surprised, but they didn't know where you were for earlier in the day, and then they found you later on, but they weren't sure where you were or what you were doing. But
Who?
the police, they were looking for you earlier today. But no, the people have been in here already. Mike, and I mean, no one's going anywhere. The ones that are here are arrested and staying, but well, some of them have gone to jail already, but some are in holding, and some have other court dates and stuff. But I mean, maybe you find this offensive, and if you do, just say
So you have people like Tara and Rodney. There are people who are locked up?
Rodney's not locked up. What was I gonna say? Oh, Tara's not locked up either. No, I'm sorry, I thought you said Terry. No, Tara's not locked up.
I know Terry's locked up.
But Tara's not, sorry. And Rodney's not. But if they're supposed to be, then, like I say, this is you've done all you can for these people, okay? And I have some concerns about this. And actually, I'm going to finish off what I was going to say. You correct if I'm wrong. You tell me. But do you think maybe you're in over your head a little bit on this? Are you starting to feel like maybe you're the less experienced person from a criminal standpoint than these other people?
I can say I don't belong here.
Well, I can say you don't belong here for a number of reasons. A guy like you shouldn't be in here, okay? But something's happened that you're involved in this thing, that you're here, and this is not going away. All right. None of these people have come forward today saying, "Hey, save Mike." Okay, that has not happened. In fact, I think you can envision that the opposite has happened, right? So now we better clarify some of this stuff, okay? Because now's an opportunity for us to clarify what many people have thought's been going on from day one, okay? But again, you've done all you can for these people, all right? And now you're sitting here, all right? And this is your chance, because I'm not coming back to you tomorrow or a week from now. There's no point, okay? Because there really isn't. You're given your chance, and if you're not willing to take it, there's your opportunity, then it's up to you, okay? Everything stays the same. The charges you're currently facing, the situations that you have, the court dates, all that stays the same, whether you and I talk or not, right? if I walk out of here, that's the end of it for you. But I'm willing to listen, because there is more of this story, okay? And I know there is. And I can sit and tell you where the issues are that bug you. I mean, if you want me to do that. But at the same time, we have to acknowledge that there is evidence out there, compelling evidence that links you to this situation. And that's what we need to get to the bottom of, is how the hell did you get mixed up in this? All right? And I'm willing to listen to that. And I'm willing to have you, actually, I appreciate it when you correct me or clarify stuff with me, because it shows we're having a conversation, okay? And you're paying attention to me. All right, and I appreciate that you're paying attention to me, and I'm paying attention to you, okay? But we have to have a two-way communication between the two of us. What should we be talking about? What do you think's going? What can we talk about in relation to this that takes some of the heat off of you?
I don't know what you're asking.
Okay, what I'm asking is this. There's some you don't feel that you should be here, and I think we've acknowledged that. And I don't know if I was being rude, but I think you're in over your head, and I think you've been working or hanging around with people that are far more experienced as criminals. You've been hanging around with criminals. Let's call it a spade a spade. You've been hanging around with criminals, and there's really no indication that you are a major criminal, but you've been hanging around with some, right? And whether you've been manipulated, that's up to you to clarify. But if that's what's happened, then you and I should talk about that. If you think that there's a discussion that we should have about terror, then we should have it, okay? Now's the time for you and I to have that conversation, as opposed to way down the road. If there's a conversation that we should be having about Rodney, now is the time, or Terry. I'm sitting here willing to listen, all right? I'm not going anywhere, all right? I can get myself another tea, I can get a water bottle, I can just sit and talk with you, okay? Mike, but you've got to kind of meet me halfway here, all right? And I'm willing to do that with you, okay? I'm willing to sit with you tonight. I'm not in any rush, but at the same time, it's got to be where it doesn't make you look bad either. It's got to be where your credibility shows that, hey, Mike's here and he's telling the truth, okay? So what I'm saying is, if you're going to sit with me, I don't want to make you part way. I want you to be straight. And if there's something I say that you're not comfortable with, then I need you to tell me that. And I would do the same. Okay, Mike, I need to know something here, but why don't we just sit and do that? This is your chance, man. Do you not think you're going to feel better getting some of this off your chest as opposed to keeping it there forever? You know what I mean? I'll sit with you and do this. There's no issues with it at all. Like I say, I have no problem sitting with you, man. Why don't we just find a starting point and we'll do it? Okay? We'll take our time, and if you want a drink of water or something else, we'll do it. But let's sit and deal with this. Okay? Let's sit, you and I, and deal with this and talk about what's happened here. All right? You can do it, man. You can do this. All right? I'll sit with you, Mike. I will sit with you. Okay? If you've been manipulated into this, I'll sit with you. Okay? But you need to be straight with me, and I'll be straight with you. If I say something that isn't right, you need to clarify it. Okay? But let's sit and do this. Let's try.
Here's what I'm going to say.
How do you figure that?
Nothing is going to matter what I say.
Why do you think nothing will matter, Mike?
Because it won't.
Can you give me a reason why you don't think it'll matter?
It just won't matter.
You don't think I'll believe you? I don't know about that, Mike. How can it not make a difference? This is your chance, man. We can show, hey, we're in talking to Mike. He was given a chance to say his side, and here's what he said. All right, what's the downside to it? Right? I don't see one. I really believe that. I mean, you have some intimate details of what happened here, okay? And you have some intimate details of who's involved in what. Why keep them inside, okay? There's a number of ways we can look at this, okay? Why don't we do the right thing for some of the people involved, and including yourself? This is your chance, man, all right? Because you're going to sit and stew forever. Say, no, I should have said this or shouldn't I have said that, right? It's up to you. I mean, I've got situations where I wish I'd have told somebody something that I didn't, and I regretted it my whole life, okay? And it's situations with family members where you should have said your piece or you should have kept your mouth shut. But we all have those experiences. But this is your chance to say your piece, all right? And I think you and I should take that chance. I think you and I should just sit and have that discussion. How is it gonna get worse, right? It can't. All right, you're already sitting in here facing this situation, facing these charges. How does it get worse? It doesn't. But your side is important, all right? And I'm certainly willing to listen to it, because there's a couple things that I think that you can shed some light on. I really do. I've been, discussing your thoughts on this and how this spun out of control. But why don't we try it? Why don't you have a discussion here? Why don't you test me? Let's discuss something. See where it goes. If you're not comfortable with it, then we won't talk about it anymore. But why don't we try it? And then I'll sit and say, well, what was the downside to that? This is your chance, Mike. This is it. All right? There's nothing else you can do for these people. All right? You've done all you can to save these people. You've done all you can to help them. Right? And obviously, to an extent, someone's put you in this position, right? And we need to deal with that.
You want me to tell you things I didn't do so I can get locked up for the rest of my life for this?
No, that's not. I don't want you to tell me things you did not do. No, I want you to explain to me. Number one, I want the truth, but I want you to explain to me how this happened. All right, how do you get involved in this? How does a guy, over 28 years, not on the radar, how does he get involved in something like this? So that interests me. I'll say that. But I'm also interested in the role that these other people have played. I'm very interested in that. Okay, because to get to the truth, we have to know the other players and their involvement in an accurate form. And like I say, if you and I have something that we can talk about that, I think we should. And I think this is the time to do it. This is the only time to do it. But I'm absolutely interested in what you have to say, but I'm not interested in seeing you go through something that, if like I say, that more experienced criminals have got you into. Where do you think we could start? What would make sense?
A lawyer would make sense.
Okay, and what would that make sense in what way? Here's an idea. I'm going to ask you a question. What's your biggest fear or your biggest concern now that you've been charged with this? What's your biggest concern here?
Losing my life.
Okay. All right. All right. And and when you say losing your life, what do you mean by that? So I don't want to speculate what that means.
It means losing my life. It means not being able to have a life anymore. It means not taking care of my mom. It means not having to do the things that I do every day. It's
all right. That's more than fair, but I wanted to make sure I understood that. All right. And what would your mother want you to do in this situation?
get a lawyer.
Did your mother ever ask if you did this?
No.
Okay. That's pretty important, isn't it? What would that tell you if your own mother asked if you did this, right? That'd be pretty scary, wouldn't it? Be pretty bad. I mean, you've spoke to a lawyer earlier. I know you've mentioned it here now. Are you looking at to negotiating something, or what is your thought that way?
I think a lawyer would let me know of all my options.
Okay.
And a lawyer would look out for my interest, whereas you're not looking out for my interest.
Okay.
And
okay.
And a lawyer can tell me every possible scenario.
Mm-hmm. How do you figure, I need you to be straight with me, Mike. How do you figure I'm not looking out for your interests?
Because you work for the police.
Yeah, I do. That's true.
So I'm sorry, but you're not looking out for my interest.
Well, I could see why you'd say that. But let's break that down a bit though. Okay, obviously I do work for the police. But what have I said that really hasn't made any sense?
All right.
Okay. What do you think?
And your job to get me to tell you things. That's
Yeah,
your job.
It can be, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you're not, where it's a lawyer's job
Yeah.
is to help the scenario the best that he can.
Yes.
That's not your job.
No, my job is, well,
You're
no,
getting paid for something else.
I'm getting paid to get to find out what the truth is. No question. I'm getting paid to, but at the same time, I'm not sitting here thinking, well, if you say something that's not in your best interest, right? Because when I sit and say credibility is important, right? Credibility is important. When I sit and say that telling your version now,
You're the first person who will take whatever I say
Mhm.
and use it however you want.
No, I wouldn't
That's
be. No, because that wouldn't be up to me. I'll take what you say, and it goes on the video.
Mhm.
But I don't sit and take it and twist it around and something is not. I mean, if what you say is the truth and matches with what the evidence is, what's the concern, right? And that's, like I say, and here's my observation, and you feel free to correct me. You and I have talked. As soon as I go anywhere near talking about, if I mention a monster or pulmonary, you get really mad, all right, almost sick to your stomach about the situation, maybe you're even upset with me, okay? So, and it's very consistent. So what's that tell me? You're not a monster, all right? I know that, I've told you that, but you have to understand this situation, okay? It's a missing girl who's no longer with us, okay? We have to deal with this, all right? We've had discussions about, maybe people that are involved in this or something like that. Why would we not get that out in the open and deal with that, right? There's no downside to that. If there's something that we need to do, if you sit and make a comment and say, well, Tara did this or Tara said that, why would I not follow that up, right? However, if you and I sit here and break this down piece by piece, and you say, well, I have issues with this concern here because if you follow it up, it's going to show this, then that's fine. Then you and I explain it. So if there's a piece of information you give me and say, well, I don't want you following that because here's why, then I'll deal with you, okay? If you want something from me, then you need to ask me what it is that you want, and then I can explain how that fits in and what I can or can't do for you, okay? Keeping in mind, as I do this and talk to you, everything that I say and do, I'm accountable for, okay? I can't just walk around talking to people and say whatever I feel like saying. Okay? I can't do that. Nobody can. That's not. We don't live in a country like that, okay? So if there's something that you're not comfortable or you put a caveat to something that you say, then just say it. I'm telling you this, but here's what you need to know to go with it. Does that make any sense at all?
I want to know what this girl Terry said.
Okay. She acknowledges that she grabbed Tori and brought her to your car, that it was your wishes, that you sent her there with certain things that you were looking for in a victim, and she took her. And you guys drove on the highway and did the Home Depot thing, which I talked about, left the Home Depot, went to a secluded area, you had sexual relations with Tori, and Tori was killed. So like I say, Mike, when I say I'm interested in your side, I think you can understand why, okay? If you're in with some bad people, this is your time, man. This is as good as it gets, unfortunately. All right? This is it. And, I mean, I can get into more detail if you want, but in a nutshell, that's a polite way of saying what the allegations are, okay? That's a polite way of saying what you're up against. And that's why when I sit and bring in these, these other ideas and comparisons, now you know where I get it from, okay? Because I've been involved in many of these.
And who are all these other people who were arrested? Who are these other people?
Who were arrested? Actually, I shouldn't say. I gotta be careful because the one that's detained and is probably going to get released. Okay, but Terry's not getting released. Okay, there has not been the follow-up for Tara is not complete. I can say that, and Rodney's not complete either. All right, that's not done. But the stuff that's happened today has kind of taken all the resources and focused on that, right? Because now your car's seized. They can get all the paperwork ready for your and her court dates now, and now they have to go follow up with some of the other people that have been implicated for having different amounts. So some people were told about this. Terry had told some people about this stuff, so they have to be dealt with. Actually, I've never asked you who you told. I haven't even asked you that yet, but if there's stuff, if there's other people here. What's happening, man? What's your thoughts? Is there any other areas that you think I haven't covered, or you think, because I got a bunch of other things I want to talk about. Is there anything that you thought that you and I would talk about in here that we haven't?
to all my friends?
Pardon me?
What happens to all my friends?
In what way?
The people who I know. The people in my life. What
happens to them in what way?
Just what happens?
Well, my thoughts are, like I said earlier, Mike, I think they think the worst until they know. That's why I'm asking you this stuff, man. People are going to think the worst. These are serious allegations. When I talked about what Terry said, I sugarcoated it, right? I can sit and break it down in more intimate details, all right? But we need to deal with that. If there's other people involved, I'm willing to listen. But I got to tell you, the evidence is very clear right now that this is a you and Terry show, all right? I'm willing to listen if there's others. But
You just said there's other people who are implicated, other people who are being charged with this.
Did I say charged or arrested? All right. I mean, you may be holding up hope here that there's others who are going to come in and get the same charges as you, and that may be my fault. And maybe I haven't been clear enough. But as far as the abduction and death of Tori, it's just you and Terry, man. For that specific part, I need to be. Maybe I should have been more clear on that. Okay. And I can say I did sugarcoat. I did sugarcoat. Exactly what she said, but it is a lot worse when she says it. So, as to what happened with Tori. And that's, like I say, that's I can sit and give you, like I say, I can sit and give you the details of what she's indicated that was done to Tori. And maybe that's my job, maybe I should. But at the same time, I want to treat you with dignity and respect as well. And like I say, that's why I'm interested in what you have to say here, because this thing's out of control. Okay, something happened here. All right, that just isn't quite right. For you to go to 0 to 120 miles an hour like that, something's happened. Okay, we don't just start out here going through a car when we're 14 to be involved in the abduction and death of a young girl. Okay, that's not right. So something's caused that, and that's what I've tried to discuss with you here. But maybe I should have been more clear in relation to the disappearance and the death of Tori. It's you and Terry. Okay, there's some outlying issues surrounding this stuff and some drug use and stuff. But for the focus of this girl, it's you and Terry. And she said her piece. So that's why you and I gotta go through your side, so you get a chance to say yours. See, I watched when they spoke to Terry, so I do know what she said. I did watch it, but I wasn't the one that spoke to her. It was one of the other officers on the investigation. But like I said I would come in. I've been involved with it from a behavioral sciences standpoint for a while, so I said I'll come in and talk to you.
Can I watch it?
Want to watch what she said?
Mm-hmm.
Which parts?
I don't know where she's implicating me.
You want me to cue up some of the parts?
Sure.
Okay. What part would you like to see?
Just the part where she's saying this is me.
Okay. Okay. I can do that. Any other thoughts or anything else you'd like? Which parts do you want to hear? Do you want to hear right from the time that well, you can show it right on the video, right from the time that Tori's grabbed to the time you get to Home Depot, or you want to hear after that? Obviously she said it. I can't make that shit up, man. I wasn't in the car with you guys. All right, so obviously she said it. All right, and like I say, as we go along, video corroborates it. So
I need a lawyer.
no, you spoke to him.
I need a lawyer.
There's no issue.
No, that wasn't my lawyer. That was just somebody who gave me advice.
Do you have a lawyer?
I don't have one yet.
Okay. Do you know anybody who does? Or do you have somebody in mind?
No.
Okay.
I have to talk to my family.
That's your biggest concern, is what your family's going to think?
I'm very concerned about what my family's going to think.
personal question. Does your family know anything about any OxyContin use by you?
I don't know.
So just the OxyContin thing's going to be a bit of a shock. It's some pretty difficult stuff to explain. Are you comfortable telling me how long you've been on oxys?
I've taken painkillers for years.
Am I even on the right track saying that oxys caused this, or did you find that offensive in that it was just something that was maybe going to happen anyways? Like, I'm willing, like I say, I'm willing to listen to you. I'm willing to talk to you because, we've had a couple of times in our discussions here where you've thrown out other names and stuff, maybe to test me to see where I'll go. But I'm willing to listen to anything that you have to say. And I mean, I don't have to. I mean, we can all just simply walk away, and then you're the one stuck with the problem, right? And but I got to admit, I'm surprised that when we get involved in this, that someone who's had really no issues their whole life with the police is involved in this. I mean, so that's reality. The guy I told you about in Toronto had no. The two I told you about tonight, the one in Toronto, the one from up north, they had no problems with the police either in the past. And they went and got involved in something like this. So I mean, it happens all the time. However, I'm not gonna lie to you. I was a little surprised. And I got to tell you, when you start digging around with stuff on Mike, there's not a whole hell of a lot out there, to be quite honest. From a law enforcement standpoint, you don't have very many skeletons in your closet. I got to tell you that. And because if you did, I'd probably bring them up, right? And you don't. But the evidence is the evidence. It's very clear. And we need to deal with it. And if you did something because you thought it was the right thing to do, because you're on oxys, then that's life. We move from there.
What's this process? What happens?
What happens next? After you and I are done talking, you go back to your cells. Tomorrow morning, you'll have what's called you'll be brought into court. The charges will be read to you again, and there'll be a discussion if you get out of custody for bail, and then they may schedule a bail hearing to determine that. And then from there, it's a matter of where it goes from the courts. The investigation will go on for a little while yet. There's a couple things that, as I told you earlier, need to be done. And then in the big picture, you're facing these charges. And you're the one who has to explain the allegations, right? And you've got to explain what it is that the evidence is showing. And like I said, I've sugarcoated it. I haven't even got down into all of it. I'm just doing it as an opportunity for you and I to discuss it. The less evidence that you and I talk about, the more credibility you have. So. nothing you can say to make it worse. There isn't. It is what it is, man.
Can you say that?
It's true. What can you say to make this worse? Nothing. Unless you're going to tell me that there's more victims. Other than that, there's nothing you can say that's going to make this any worse. Again, because I've sugar-coated it.
Where do I go after court tomorrow?
Well, you'll be in the jail. You won't be here. You'll be in the local jail, and then from there you have your court appearances after that. I'm not trying to be a smart ass, Mike, when I say this, but really the facts are the facts. The evidence is the evidence. I'm not trying to be a smart ass when I say there's nothing you can say to make this worse. But there really isn't. There's nothing that you can say that's going to knock me off my chair with surprise. Man, I would be amazed if you said something that wasn't supported by the case facts. It's all investigations there. Like I say, it's... And the worst part is, I mean, yeah, there's steps you've taken to kind of cover your tracks a bit, but as we mentioned earlier, you're not an experienced criminal, and that lends to errors being made and evidence being gathered that implicates you, so it's nothing, don't be offended by that, that's reality. You're not an experienced criminal, and that, you know, goes to some of the other things that we've talked about. But it's reality. Like I say, I've just sat with you and gone over some of the highlights, but I can discuss some of the other issues. There's no issue that way. But I'd rather, if you and I are going to talk about it, we just sit and talk about it. If you have a question of me, you ask it. If I have a clarifying question of you, I ask it. And if you have an issue with it, you say, no, I've got an issue with that one. And explain, okay, here's why I can't answer that. I have no issue with any of that. You say, you're not going to offend me. You're not going to make me mad or anything like that. I have no issues that way at all. But I have all, like I say, I got all day, I have no issues, no problem sitting here with you, going over this stuff. But if you want, we can discuss with other cases I've seen or been involved in as well. I have no issue that way.
I don't want to hear about that.
It's fine. But I'd be willing to sit with you and do it if you want to go, Mike. There's no problem that way. The reality of it is we can just sit and deal with the issue here, just as easy.
I'd rather deal with this issue in court.
Hey, Seth, how are you? Mind
All right.
for a sec? I understand Mike here wanted to see what Terry Lynn had to say. Mike, Terry Lynn's still speaking to my partner, okay? This is a girl you killed, all right? She's not missing anymore. She's dead. Terry Lynn was asked today if she wanted to call a lawyer 4 times. She said no, all 4 times. She went through 2 boxes of Kleenex. All right? She says on the 8th of April, Wednesday the 8th of April, 2009, at 3:30 in the afternoon, you drop her off at Pavey, south of Fife, south of the public school, where Tori walks out of. You tell her to get a girl, and you want her young. She walks up the street, you drive up to the old age home where you park your car. She walks up to Tori. Tori's nice to her. She trusts her. She holds her hand for a little bit. She walks up the street with her. Terry Lynn tells her about her little dog, gets her across the street to her car, opens the back door. Tori doesn't like it anymore. She pushes her in the car. You start driving. She says she's freaking out. She says she's worried about you. She's scared about what you're going to do. She says you guys hit the 401. You start driving to Guelph. You park outside a house. You go in for a little while. You come out with some drugs, she thinks. And you drive to the Home Depot. You park at the end of the parking lot. You tell her it's her turn to get out of the car. You tell her to go in there. You give her some cash because you don't want to use your debit card so you don't track it. She goes in there. She gets garbage bags like she's told to do, and she comes back out. Then you go driving. And you pull into a farmer's field right across from a house to the point where you're even asking her if anybody can see you. And what does she do? She says she goes for a walk because she doesn't want to see what happens. And then she comes back. And you're not sitting in the front seat anymore, Mike. You're sitting in the back seat. And she's not liking what she sees. So she walks away again. Then she comes back, and you make her hold one of those garbage bags while you put some of your clothes and her jacket and a hammer in the garbage bag. Then you drive to a gas station. She never sees Tori again. You drive to that gas station, you get out, you wash up, you dump the bag. You drive back to Woodstock. That's Terry Lynn's story, Mike. That's Terry Lynn's story while she bawls her eyes out through 2 boxes of Kleenex. And I ask her 4 times, hey, you want to call a lawyer? She says, I don't need to call a lawyer. I feel so bad about what happened. I just want to tell you all about it. That's what you're up against.
Terry Lynn's a liar.
Well, you're the only person that can tell us that, bud.
I just did.
You gotta be careful, though, Mike, because some of the shit she said is backed by not just video but other evidence, but also some of the explanations that she gave as well are verified. And that's a little more graphic than I said it, but yeah, there is some stuff that she says that is true. There's no question. I'm not gonna say it's not. But
How old are you, Mike? 28 years old? You want to tell us your side of the story? Get rid of your fucking security blanket and start being a man. Because it's not going to be her semen that we find on her body. When we look at the areas underneath the parts of the seat that you cut out, we're going to find her blood. Do you know how blood works? Do you know about red blood cells, white blood cells? White blood cells are thinner. They look like spit when they're separated from red blood cells. They're the ones that seep through into the foam. That's what we get the DNA from. Skin cells from her rubbing up and down against your seats in your car. Tori Stafford is all over your car. All over it. And Terry Lynn explains everything that she knows we're going to find. You're explaining nothing. So I don't give a fuck if you say one more word to tell you the truth.
All right, we're done then.
Well, I'm done with you anyway.
Okay.
This officer here is trying to understand what the hell you're going through. I don't care.
Who are you?
I'm the lead investigator here.
Okay.
Okay?
Terry Lynn's full of shit.
Well, that's going to be a funny thing for you to say in court, isn't it?
No.
Because how's the DNA going to be full of shit, Mike? Huh? How's the biologist from the Center for Forensic Sciences going to be full of shit? How's the pathologist that examines her body going to be full of shit? Explain that to me.
I'll be careful, Mike. That's a dangerous road to go up. If there's something you and I can clarify with what she said, then let's clarify it. But we can't just sit here with a blanket statement that she's full of shit, because there is some things that's truthful. And then by you saying that takes away your credibility. So we gotta be very careful with that.
I'm done with him.
Yeah.
This officer's got his job to do, Mike. He's got a different job than I do. For my investigation, you keeping your mouth shut is the best thing can happen. So keep on keeping it shut.
Okay.
Well, you know more than I told you anyway. It wasn't quite as eloquent as I would have put it, but anyways. This is mean, these people have been working on this stuff for over a month, right? So some of these people have been working from 6 in the morning to 1 in the morning ever since then. Some of them had 1 day off. So there's a little bit of concern and emotion, but I got to tell you, like you say, it's just sitting saying a blanket thing about Tara. It's not. You're not doing yourself any good. At the same time, what he's saying is right. Like, I did watch what she was saying, and she was very emotional. There's no question. And she did go through Kleenex. There's no question of that. And she was upset, and there's stuff that she said that, I mean, was clearly known ahead of time by the investigators, and there's stuff that was said that by her saying it later proved out to be confirmed other ways. So don't, I can't say don't, you can do whatever the hell you want, but just be careful going up that road. I mean, if you're going to do that, you're going to have to try and back it. And like I said, there's no magical cleanser out there that cleans DNA out of a car. Just you and I sitting in here, Mike. Your DNA's in this room, my DNA's in this room. That's reality, right? Could be saliva, perspiration. We may have shed skin, hair, whatever. So you just can't wipe it out. And I can sit and tell you over the years of things that people have tried, different types of fuels, oils, cleansers. People have set fires to their cars likely to try and get rid of stuff. But yeah, if that stuff gets soaked right in, which it will, you've got an issue. And there's even actually a couple more things that actually he didn't say, whether he did, why he didn't, or whatever, that's fine. But he did talk to Terry today. Anyways, but like I said, I have no issues on that. That doesn't change my opinion of our discussion, to be quite honest. I mean, they've got their opinions, and obviously they're getting sick of listening to me, so they've come in and said their piece. But like I say, I've got no, I'm not pissed with you, so I'm not, but like I say, this is your chance. This is your chance to say your piece. And I'm sitting there willing to listen to it. Like you say, I've already told you my opinion, right? I've told you my role, right? My role is behavioral sciences. My role is to assess threat. And I've already told you I don't think you're going to go out and kill somebody else. So I've already told you. I've given you my side. But like you say, it's up to you. Like I say, I have no issue sitting here discussing this stuff. But you need to understand what you're up against.
Well, he just told me not to say anything more, so.
Well, it's up to you. You don't say anything to him.
That's what he said, though.
He doesn't want you to talk to him, but that's fine. I'm still interested in listening to you. But I have no issue with it. Like I say, if there's a way we can explain it, then I'll sit and listen to it. If it's oxys is the problem here, then we might as well start up that road. All right? If that's what's happened, and you've taken too many oxys and then went and grabbed her up, then let's deal with that now. All right? Because, like I say, some of the stuff she said's already being confirmed. And some of this you know is confirmed anyways, because you already knew some of the evidence was out there. So you know that that's already reality. But you also have to understand, when I talked earlier about the other cases where the people sat here, acknowledge what they did and apologize, you never even heard of those cases, because the whole thing just flew right out of the radar after that. All right? So that's up to you. But I think there's a couple things that we should probably discuss while I'm here. But I mean, you know the risks that are attached to having her in your car going up that highway, right? So you know there's a good chance that there's witnesses for that. So there's certain things that you can explain, and some of it might be a little more difficult. But like I say, I have no issue sitting in here going through it with you. If you want to talk about the part of the school where she's grabbed, we can discuss that and see what your thoughts are there.
Why I ever started talking to trashy people, I don't know.
You seem smarter than this. Something happened, right? You You've heard me say it 50 times probably. Something happened here, man. You don't fly on the radar for 28 years. So what happened?
I'm not saying anymore.
What part's hard? Was it hard just to even get talking about it?
I'm not saying anymore.
Why?
Because of the officer, because of what the lawyer said. Now it's everything. I just don't. I'm not. I'm not. I'm not comfortable saying anything.
What's your concern about saying something now? Like at this point?
I'm not saying anymore.
What do you think is going to happen next?
I'm not sure. I don't know. Someone runs in here and starts barking. I'm done.
Well, the problem with that is, like I say, that's frustration of people that haven't slept great for days, right? They've all missed family engagements during that time,
Well,
right?
maybe then he should have a Coke and a smile and try to talk to me later.
I don't think he will. I don't think those guys will. And I'm not just saying that because I'm here, but like I say, it's my role's a little bit different, and I don't think you'll have to worry about those guys coming around seeing you. And again, it all goes back to there's emotion over stuff like this. All right, it's I can't sugarcoat it. Like I've sugarcoated some, but it's a serious situation. You can't sit and
I know it's
downplay
very
that, you know?
serious.
It's like I say, we talked about it before. And if that's what it was, that you used some oxys and did this, then that's fine. Like you say, we'll deal with it. But nobody's gonna get. No one's gonna care 2 years from now. And that's what you say, right? Because you've had 2 years to think about it and say, oh well, this is the best way to go. And it's not going to come across as believable. Like you say, when Terry came in and said some of the stuff she said, and then some of it she
Sherry's
said.
an incredible person.
Well, and the problem with that is when she starts saying stuff that can be verified. You know, it becomes very compelling, right? And that's what's, like I say, that's what's important. And not only because it would be different if she said stuff and it was full of lies, but that's not what happened. And it's like I say, what she says is compelling because it can be matched. And like I say, a lot of what's going to solve this case is video, because video is so prominent now than it was a few years ago, and technology is better. And again, there's some compelling things, as she has said, but the fact that your car was on that video long before and it hadn't been released, yeah, there's a lot of stuff to verify it, and that's before they go and analyze your car. Which is going to, well, there's no way there's nothing in that car. She spent too much time in there. And there's no, you're not going to be able to explain, oh yeah, she was 8 years old, she was hitchhiking or something. You're not going to explain how her, you don't have the relationship with that kid to have her in your car prior to this. So, you understand what I'm saying?
I hear what you're saying.
Okay, all right. Do you understand where I'm coming from, though, why I want to get this out?
You just want me to say whatever. You just want me to say things. So it's open and closed.
No.
So it's over and done with. That's it. This is how it is. Nothing more to talk about.
No, actually, because you know, actually, that's fair. That's a very fair statement, actually. But I got to tell you, in this case, it's not. It doesn't matter. If you and I never meet, if the police don't even interview about this, it doesn't change what the evidence is, right? But the reality of it is, it is an unusual case. It's an unusual circumstance for someone like yourself who has no previous real criminal experience, has no real past in relation to any type of sex offending, who has no bizarre behavior, right? You're not out torturing kids or doing anything bizarre. No bizarre behavior. Let's be realistic. There's no bizarre behavior really documented on here. And for you to be involved and have a role like this in this situation is unusual. So yeah, I'm compelled and I'm interested to listen to what you have to say. But does it open and shut this case? No, because as you can tell, they really don't care that I'm in here talking to you, right? Their feelings is more important to them, and getting their side out and raising their voice at you is more important to them than having me sit in here with you. I mean, they've made that pretty clear. So, like I say, I'm interested because of the why. Because it's different. Gotta tell you, it's different. But at the same time, I'm going to say this again: your credibility is important, and you have to understand where I'm coming from. And I don't know if you believe me or not, but I need you to think about it at least. When I say people think the worst, without knowing the facts, that's reality. Whether you've chose to do that or ever done that in your life, we all have. And we think the worst, and what happens is people start making up their own reasons as to why things happen, right? And start their own stories and their own rumors. So you and I sitting here explaining, holy shit, this is it. And maybe you can't. I mean, maybe you decided that you were going to try this with a kid and there's no real logical explanation. That's why you can't tell me. Maybe that's reality. Or maybe you're embarrassed about a drug habit that got away from you. But I'm telling you, as sure as I'm sitting here, Mike, people think, and you know that, you've heard me say it, but if you stop and think, people think the worst. All right?
And let them think what they're going to think.
What's that?
Then let them think what they're going to think.
And they may. I mean, see, they're going to think the worst. There's no question about that. All right? People will think the worst until they know the truth. So, like I said, that's why I'm sitting with you. So, if this is an oxy thing that got out of hand, that's why I was prepared to listen to it. Like, if it's not, then that's fine too, right? Then it's something else. Then it's an uncontrollable sexual urge that people have. I mean, that's different. Okay?
I'm done.
That's as real as I can put it.
I'm done.
Why?
I'm not talking anymore.
How come?
I've already told you why.
Just because of all the different angles and all that?
I just don't feel comfortable talking about it.
So you're prepared then to just leave it like this and you're going to ride it out from here, see where it goes?
Yep.
You think that's the best way to do it?
I don't know. I've never been in this chair before. I don't know.
Any questions of me?
No.
Need something to eat?
Yeah, but you don't care if I need something to eat.
Why would you say that?
Because you don't.
I wouldn't ask if I didn't care.
You're here for your job.
Nope. I could have walked out. I don't have to ask you because you got it going right here. Right? But the reality of it is, I know that you're going to go back and sit and sleep or do whatever for a while, and you'd be better to do it on a full stomach. That's all it is to it, man. But I don't have to ask you if you want food, but I am prepared to get you food.
So I can eat, and then you can say, well, look, he had an appetite. This is how he must have been feeling. Oh, he drank his tea. This is how he must be feeling. Forget the fact he's just starving. And
No, you're reading too much into it, man. No, that's not what it is at all. I offered you something to eat because I thought if you're hungry, you can eat it. I don't care if you eat it or not, right? I mean, it's up to you. It doesn't matter to me if you eat or you don't eat.
And that doesn't go in anywhere in any of your reports.
What's that?
That I ate or not ate.
No, because it's on the video. It doesn't matter if you eat or not. I don't have to write any report. My report doesn't say if you ate or not. My report says what we talked about.
That's all. Right? I don't, no, that's reality, man. I ask people that. But, no, I don't, like I say, it's, your appetite at this point doesn't matter, really. I come in here, I sat with you, explained to you what the evidence was, had a discussion. Actually, I don't think there's any animosity between us. So we had a discussion about what the case facts are, and that was it. So it doesn't matter to me if you eat or not, but it was a legitimate offer. If you want something, I'll arrange for you to get it. There's no issues that way. But you read too much into it, man. You want something to eat?
I need something to eat, yes.
All right. I'll get you something to eat.
Something plain, something simple and plain.
What were you thinking?
Something, anything plain.
Soup or something? Or?
Sure.
All right.
I'm allergic to mushrooms and onions.
Like some type of allergy, is it?
Sorry?
What type of allergies does it make you go into throw up or anything?
The mushrooms make me pretty ill. And the onions just make me nauseous.
Okay. All right. Look at me. Take it easy.
Hey, Mike. Remember me? Hey?
Mm-hmm.
Gord?
Mm-hmm.
Remember we sat down for about half an hour the other day on the Friday and sat down at your kitchen table.
Mm-hmm.
okay? And we got to know each other a little bit.
Mhm.
I got to know a little bit about you, about your family situation. You know, we got talking about how long you've been around here for, what you've been going through, okay, in your life. And I thought, you know, we had a little bit of a connection there, okay? I know you got a rough spot right now in your life, okay, with your mom, and especially your grandmother right now. And she's dying, is that correct? Cancer and so on. Would you be able to look at me for a sec though, Mike? Okay. It just, you know, I talked to someone, and I know that when we talked on Friday that, you know, you had good eye contact, okay? And I know it's a rough spot right now with your mom, with what she's dealing with, okay? I know with, you know, was it Rydell, or she was seeing, what was his first name? Dave. So she's got a lot going on in her life, and you've got a lot going on in your life right now, right? Now, I know you've talked to a couple other officers about this case, right? Now, I don't want you to be influenced by what they say. If someone's come in here and they said, you know, you should say this or that, that's up to you, okay? Now, I've been helping out on this for a while, for over a month now. I've talked to lots of people. I told you that, didn't I? And I said your name came up. Okay, and I've talked to Terry Lynn. I've talked to all kinds of people. And what's happened here, I think, is that you've been caught up in a lot of stuff going on in your life, okay? And what happened, you know, you've been out of work, you've been trying to make some ends meet, working under the table a little bit, just trying to get some cash, okay? Things haven't been going that well back home, right? You look at me for a sec. Yeah, I know that, and you didn't want to really get into some of the stuff that's been going on back home with the girls and so on, you're right, your ex-girlfriend and that, right? And I know you've been trying your best with your home life right now, with your mom helping out and your grandma. So, you know, you got the work problem, you're trying to work. And I know you do have a bit of a problem with the oxys, okay? And I found that out. So you've got a lot of stressors going on in your life. The thing that happened is, though, that you met someone. Okay, you met someone that at the pizza place there back a few months ago, right? That's what you told me. You're going, I think, into the variety store or so. Remember saying that?
No, I remember saying we met at the 7-Eleven.
Well, the variety store, right? And Terry Lynn was getting some pizza or so on. Didn't you say that? I think there was mention about something like that. Anyway, the thing that happened here, Mike, okay, is that you got connected with her. And you told me that, you know, what her family life's like, what she's like, the drugs, her mother, what's been going on. And I know that you guys were doing oxys, okay, together. So the circumstances, Mike, okay, there's some bad decisions made here, okay? You guys got caught up in a bunch of stuff, okay? All the things that are going on in your life. Okay, I can understand that. I can fully understand that. Now, I saw Terry today, okay? I was with her. And I've known, you know, you've been keeping contact with her. I know you went to see her back on the 8th of May. You know, you brought her some clothes and so on, and, you know, you talked about going here and there with her. But I was with her, okay? We brought her over from London today. And I was there when she was telling her story, okay? There's no doubt in my mind she's telling the truth. There's no doubt, okay, what happened. She is the person, okay, that took Victoria, okay, Tori, across the road. We have your car, okay, I saw your car there. Okay, your car is unique. There's not many cars with that color, okay, kind of the bluish, black type of homemade paint job with the spoiler on the back with the rims. Okay, yours is a unique car. Now the thing is, Mike, okay, the thing is that your car is seen at 329, okay, or so right around there, 331, okay, on the 8th of April, pulling into that Crescent Care parking lot. That your vehicle's on video, okay? Your car is unique, okay? There's no doubt. And Terry talks about, okay, walking Victoria. You know, they have the conversation about the puppy and so on, and she takes Victoria over to your car. There's no doubt there about that. There's no doubt. The situation is, okay, why? I think what happened here is it got out of hand. You know, if you could take that back, okay, I think some bad decisions were made because of a couple people that in their life right now, okay, are just things aren't going that good for them. You know, Terry's got some bad problems at home right now with her mom, right? Her mom's dying of cancer, intestinal, all the problems with the drugs and the people that are hanging out there. You've got all the stuff going on in your life, okay? And that's what's happened here is some bad decisions were made, okay? And there's no doubt, she's already said that. She's admitted what she's done, okay? She did take Victoria over to your car and you're there. Your car's right there on video. There's video all over the place. Your car is there, okay? There's no doubt there. Like, so what's happened is, from there, you know, you didn't expect to do what you're doing, but it got going and got snowball, okay? And you know what a snowball's like when it's rolling downhill. It gets bigger and bigger, and something happens, okay? You didn't need to happen the way it did, and what happened is you panicked, and some bad decisions were made again. Now, I talked to Terry, I saw Terry's interview. There's no doubt in my mind, okay, she's talking about what happened. It's the truth, okay, about taking her. She took her, okay, from where she was coming from school, walking, and she brought her over to your car. There's no doubt, okay? There's no doubt there at all. And after we interviewed you, you know, you weren't really opening up that much to me about names and so on. I know you're maybe a little bit of a private person there on that. But the situation is that, you know, you did leave. You got out of the area for a little bit. Okay? Your car wasn't around. We were checking. Okay? You weren't.
Out of the area every day.
Yeah. Okay.
Like,
But the thing is, you had a lot on your mind then. You had a lot on your mind. You didn't expect the police to be coming to your house and knocking on your door. Because you even wondered, you know, why were we there? Like, okay. That's the thing. You didn't expect us to be knocking on the door. And what do you think they're going to find, okay, when they analyze your vehicle for DNA? Okay, what are they going to find?
Terry's been in my car.
Terry's been in your car, right? We know that. And we know Tori's been in your car. Mike, look at me for a second. You know what? I don't think you're a bad guy. I don't think you're bad at all. You know, you have some, you know, the Fred Astaire dance that you wanted to do. You know, I think you're a good family person. I do. I think you're a good family person and a good person. But what's happened here is because of who's meshed together, the two of you are not a good mix. And things got out of hand here. There's no doubt that's what happened. And if you could take that back, Mike, I know you would take it back. I know you would. There's no doubt in my mind. I know you would. But you know what? It's happened. The thing is to correct it, okay? The best you could now. That's what we need to do. Okay? And, you know, there is things that are being verified. But your vehicle pulling in there on that 8th, at that time, okay? When she was dropped off, when she walked over to the car, when you guys go to the store later, okay? There's video everywhere. It's going to have, it is there, okay? It's there. But the thing is, okay, why did it go to that? You know, why did it go that way? If she could be brought home right now, I know you'd want it. I know you'd want that. Okay? I know you'd want her home. Okay? If you could turn it back, you'd have her back here. But the thing is, you got caught up. Okay? You got caught up. You got caught up. Mike, you're not that bad a guy. But the problem is, there was a couple bad decisions here, right? I'm not saying it's all your fault at all, okay? I'm not saying it's you at all, your fault, okay? There's no way. What's important here though, Mike, okay, is to tell me your side. It's important to tell me. Now we've met, okay, and I think I got to know you a little bit. But we've learned a lot more over the last while. Okay? And Mike, I'm prepared to talk to you and listen to you. Okay?
Everybody's prepared to talk to me right at this moment.
No. You know what it is? I'm prepared to listen to you.
No, everybody just wants their answers.
No. Mike, look at me for a second. Okay? Just look at me for a second. You know, in your heart there, you know how important it is, okay, to clear things up, clear your conscience, because this has really been eating away at you. I know, I could tell, even when we met, okay, your eyes, I could tell, it's been eating away at you. You've been living with this thing since that time. The thing is though, you panicked and things happened, okay? There is going to be evidence there, okay? There's going to be evidence found. And maybe you didn't mean to kill her, okay? Maybe it just, things got out of hand. You panicked, and things happened. But you know what? It's important to tell me, okay? I know inside your heart there, it's beating, okay? That you're not that bad a guy. But because, you know, you guys got caught up, there's oxys, you guys weren't thinking properly. Some bad decisions were made. Your car is there. We can't take that away. It's there. And Terry is saying she's there. She's admitted that. She's given other
It looks
information.
good for Terry.
Yeah,
It's good for her.
But you know what, though? She's put you there, too. She's put you guys there. As you're driving down the highway, she has. You know, talking about their favorite color and purple, and telling her, you know, putting her head down as the truckers are going by and so on. Okay? Yeah. Yeah. The problem is, okay, that image is in your mind of what happened that day. And I'm sure you think about it, and you think about it, and you think about it. And sometimes, you know, maybe the oxys help. Maybe the drugs help to kind of mask what you're thinking, what you're feeling. I know you've had a bit of a problem with the oxys for a while, right? How long's it been?
I've already answered that.
Well, how long's it been?
I've already answered that.
Yeah. I know it's been a problem. It's all right. It's been eating away at you. It has been. It has been. I know it has been. Okay. Like I said, you've got a lot going on in your life right now. Your mom has a lot going on in her life. Your grandmother, there's a lot going on in her life. And if you could fix any of that, you would. But the problem was back on the 8th, you guys made some bad decisions, that's all. Okay? You made some bad decisions. But everything's getting connected here. The dots are being connected. It is. The evidence is there. There will be DNA found in your car. Okay? And then what are you going to be able to say about that? What can you say about that when Tori's DNA is found in there? A strand of her hair, some skin cells. Terry's saying what she's saying. Why would she talk about you then? When your car is right there, I've seen it myself. I seen it at that time. You can see it pulling right in. You can see it pulling in where it did. And you see Terry walking across with Tori, right in that same area, minutes later. Minutes. And I'm only talking a couple minutes. Less than a couple minutes.
She can say what she want to say. I know what I didn't do.
Well,
So I don't.
what are they going to say though, Mike, when your vehicle is right on at a
That's
Home
I'm unaware of
Depot?
myself to talk about
What,
that.
what are you
Something
going to
like that
say
comes
though
up.
when it's at a Home Depot?
If something like that comes up, if it comes up,
But what, you know,
my lawyer and I will have to talk about
but
it.
you know how it is at parking lots and so on. When you're there, your vehicle's there, where it's parked. Terry went with the drive around, showed the parking spot exactly. Okay? That's very important. That's very important. What you're seeing now, then, okay? It's just not adding up. It's not what you're saying, okay? Because the facts are the facts. The evidence is there. The evidence is what it is.
I didn't kill anybody.
You were there. You were there, though.
I didn't help kill anybody.
You were there. We've heard from Terry. Okay. We've heard from Terry.
Okay.
Information is-
Terry's saying I'm there.
Terry.
You're saying my car is there.
Your car. Do you not think it's unique, Mike?
Right. My car is there, and Terry, the drug addict who stabs people, is there, saying that I was there.
Your car. Do you think it's unique? The color of it?
There's lots of Civics.
Is there many, Mike, with that color? Come on, be honest.
I don't know.
Be honest.
I don't know.
With that paint job in town here.
I don't know.
You know. With those rims? With that spoiler?
That spoiler's a very common spoiler on every other Civic that's out there.
Well, come on. What about...
All right then. We're done.
Hey, what about that? Come on.
We're done.
You know what? Okay.
That spoiler is on every other Civic
Okay.
of the same model.
Yeah. But the rims are unique, and you're...
The rims aren't unique either.
Well, with the... I'm saying with it collectively, okay? And the
Anyways,
and the color.
Terry, you said, is saying that I was there. Terry is saying she was there. And Terry is saying that. And you're saying my car is on a video.
Yeah. Your car's
That's
on...
not enough for me.
That's not enough?
No.
There's more.
No.
There's more. I'm only laying out some of it.
Okay.
I'm only laying out some of it, Mike.
Okay then.
Okay?
Then the rest is for my lawyer, I guess, to discuss with me.
Yeah.
Because I didn't kill anybody. And I didn't help kill anybody.
Well, I think you did.
Well, I think I didn't.
Yeah.
I know I
in fact,
didn't.
well, in fact, I know you did. Okay.
Well, that's good then for you.
And I know you did.
I know I didn't. So this conversation's done now since you're saying you know I did.
Like I said, the evidence is the evidence, Mike. Okay? And as it unfolds, and it will more and more and more over the next few months, okay? As things get analyzed, and it comes back,
I'll be waiting.
There'll be no doubt.
Okay.
There's no doubt now.
Okay.
Okay?
Well, obviously there's doubt now.
Why is that?
Why would you be in here? Why would the guy be in here before? Why would the guy come in here barking at me?
Because you know what it comes down to? It comes down to giving you an opportunity, okay, a chance
To speak? That's
To
what court is
explain.
for.
and explain your side, okay?
This is what court's for, though. This is what lawyers are for. This is what court is for. For people to speak.
That's fine, but you know what? You're a man as well, okay? So I come in here, and I talked to you the one time already, and I'm giving you an opportunity as a man, okay, to stand up and tell the truth. And you know what? You haven't. You're not telling the truth. And I'm giving you an opportunity as a man, okay, to look me in the eyes, to talk to me. You're not, okay? I know you, after we talked to you, you're gone. You're gone for a few days.
I'm always gone for a few days.
Where did you go?
I'm always gone for a few days.
Where did you go this past weekend then?
Oh, you didn't know then.
No,
That's your jobs as
well, I'm giving
police to know.
you, I'm giving you an opportunity. That's a simple question, right?
You know.
That's a simple question. Your mom's van's parked right up the next morning. 8 o'clock in the morning, up where your car was that night. It was parked on the road when we left.
It always does that.
Well, you switched up.
It always does that.
What always does that? The van goes up there.
Yep.
Yeah. So what time did you leave at then? We saw you on the Friday, right? On the 15th?
I don't remember.
Something around 7 o'clock or so, or somewhere down there, wasn't it?
I don't remember.
I think it was. So where'd you end up going then? That's a simple question.
That's an answer I don't care to give.
What's that?
It's an answer that I don't care to give.
You go down to your brother's place?
Sure. I'm not answering.
You don't want to answer? Were you down to Woodstock?
Once again, I'm not answering.
But why? Why can't you say something simple like that where you went?
I'll wait till I discuss everything with my lawyer.
What's your mom going to say?
Well, I guess we're about to find out, aren't we?
Yeah. I think that's important.
I love my mother. My mother knows I love her. That's all it needs to know.
Your mom loves you, yeah. But you know what? I think she's a little worried about you lately. I think she has been worried about you.
Okay.
Well, who you've been hanging around with, what you've been doing.
Who I've been hanging around with.
Well, Terry Lynn. I know you're saying she's been over helping out too with Carol.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We both have been hanging out, helping out.
Yeah. Trying to do what you can do, right? Obviously your mom's gonna be able to say then after what time she pulled that van up there, when you left, she's gonna know exactly when that was.
Okay.
Well, her van was in the middle of the road.
It always is in the middle of the road, and it's always parked in the driveway. It's always we are always going through that scenario.
Okay.
So act like it's one scenario that
Okay.
holds great importance, because it doesn't.
Okay, then when did it happen that night? Or that next morning? Like at
I
8
don't
o'clock,
know.
it was already done.
By 8 o'clock, it was already done.
So within, 12 hours,
Within 12 hours, I left my house.
well, we were talking to you in the evening. Next morning, it was gone. So after we talked to you, you're out of there. We're having officers checking it every day at different times during the day, and it's gone. It's not around. All weekend. Even Monday.
Because it's a long weekend, could it?
Well, maybe it is. I just thought it was kind of strange. The timing. We talked to you and it's gone. You're gone.
You talked to me on the beginning of a long weekend.
Okay, maybe you had
What do you
plans.
expect?
Did you have plans, Mike?
I did have plans.
Yeah. What did you have plans with? You know what? This is the same way you were with me on Friday. And you got to admit that, right?
I don't know.
Because remember me asking you about that? I said, Mike, why don't you want to tell me, the names of...
People I know?
Yeah.
Because it's not your business.
You want to talk about Amanda? Amanda's the one that...
Because these are unimportant people to me, so what do I care if I talk about them?
Well, Amanda's daughter is good friends, you told me, with Tori.
Uh-huh, apparently.
Well, that's what you told me.
That's what she told me.
Okay, and then after Tori was abducted, then Amanda started to hang around with the family. You guys kind of went your separate ways. But you didn't know her last name, you didn't know the street other than it was something
No.
like Baxter or something like that. Or kind
I'm
of
not
had
supposed to know everything about somebody
went
I don't really
bowling.
know.
I think with her. You didn't want to tell me Joy's name. You didn't want to tell me the girl and your girlfriend in Oakville? Is she the one that was getting those jobs for you down there? You just didn't want to say much.
Because it's not your business.
Well, it is my business.
No, it's not.
You know,
and
we-
it's not their business.
But you know what, though? We've talked to numerous, hundreds of people, and everyone's opened up to us.
I'm
But you know,
thrilled for that. You know what? I don't think that it's other people's businesses about what I'm being questioned about.
but you know what? That was a
And I don't need you guys going to people who are people from my past, questioning them and embarrassing me about things that are coming up.
That was just about some people you know locally. That wasn't. It was just a matter of getting some information on them. That's all, to verify who
Mhm.
they are. That's all. People are opening up, talking to us about all kinds of stuff.
That's good.
Not you. You can't even say where you were on the weekend?
Nope.
Did you tell your mom? I think you did. I think you tell your mom a lot of stuff.
No, I didn't tell her.
You didn't tell her.
I don't tell her where I am.
You don't tell her where you are.
She's not my gatekeeper.
Well, she's probably still concerned, even though you're 28.
Which is why I check up on her from time to time.
So what's your
Which is
cell?
why I
What's
call
your
her.
cell phone going to tell us?
Guess we're gonna find out.
What's your cell phone going to tell us? Yeah.
I guess we're gonna find out.
Is it going to tell you where you've been? Who you've called? What towers you've gone off of?
Maybe.
What areas?
Maybe.
Certain days?
Maybe.
Tell you where you've been on the weekend?
Maybe.
Where you were on the 8th?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure where you were on the 8th?
I'm not sure phones are gonna tell you that.
No. You'd be surprised.
Alright, well then I'll be surprised.
But you know what? When you talked to me on the 15th, you just told me you drove around. You couldn't really remember what you were doing on the 8th.
You want me to remember what I did a month ago when I can't remember what I did
What?
2 days ago?
You said you remember about the helicopters.
Yeah, how can you possibly not remember something like that?
But you can't remember that day?
You want to take
Remember
a
getting,
day where there's choppers and everything else going around and not remember that? That's just...
Oh, do you remember what you were doing around that time then? The days are right around there? Because you know very well what you're doing. Okay. Because you were parked down at Crescent Care and arranged with Terry. Okay. You get Tori.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah. 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 And you're interested in what Terry had to say before, right? You wanted to see it?
I'll wait till I talk to my lawyer.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying, if, you know,
Yeah, I'll wait
even
till
in the
I talk to
morning,
my
you want to
lawyer.
have a look at it? I get the computer and I show you? Would you want to sit down and I just hit play?
I'll wait till I talk to my lawyer.
Well, before you were asking about it.
Yeah, well, I'll wait till I talk to my lawyer, because my lawyer can set everything up.
Okay, just 1 sec, okay?
there anything else you need?
Hey Mike, I'm a pretty get down to the facts kind of guy. I'm sure you've realized that from our brief encounter earlier, all right? This is not rocket science. I've got what Terry Lynn has told me this afternoon, and I've got you. This is your opportunity. Terry Lynn's sitting right here. Tell us she's a liar. If got no problem at saying without her in the room.
Terry's a liar.
That's what you're hoping.
I'm not even looking at her.
I don't need to look at her.
You haven't been looking at anyone.
I don't need to look at anyone. I know what might happen.
Have you stopped for a second to think about all of the forensic evidence that is yet to come in this investigation?
And the lawyer will have to deal with that.
How does your lawyer deal with your semen on an 8-year-old's body?
I guess a
Like,
lawyer would
I
have
have
to
never-
deal with such things if they came up.
What's that?
I guess a lawyer would have to deal with such things if such things came up.
Do you know how the legal system works, Mike? Who gives instructions to who? Do you instruct your lawyer, or does your lawyer instruct you? You instruct your lawyer. So when that happens, your lawyer's going to say to you, Mike, what do you want me to do with this evidence?
Terry?
Thanks, Terry. See, Mike, you know I was right when I walked in here, okay? And I'm not gonna pull any punches here, okay? I'm not gonna try and kiss your ass, all right? I mean, let's face it, I'm a cop, all right? And the last 5 weeks, I've been trying to find out who killed an 8-year-old girl. Okay? And I know the guys from behavioral sciences, they got their thing, they're trying to understand why that's what they do.
You guys all work together.
Yeah, we do. They're good people. They know their job very well. And sure as hell, I'd like to know why. Right? I'd like to think that we don't have people walking around our communities who just because they're bored on an afternoon say, hey, why don't we grab that girl and rape and murder her? Okay? I'd like to think that we live in a community where people think a little bit more about what they're going to do than that. All right? But what do you think you're coming off as right now? Do you think you're coming off as an innocent guy? Do you think you're looking like somebody who's been wrongfully accused here?
You're going to see it however you want to see it. My lawyer, or the lawyer, instructed me to just say,
Yeah, I know, Mike. I know what your lawyer
Simply-
instructed you to say. But that doesn't make you an innocent man. That makes you a man who's saying, holy fuck, what am I going to do now?
nothing I do is going to change your opinion. So I might as well just follow the lawyer's advice.
Well, you're right there, Mike. Nothing you do is going to get you walking out of this police station tonight without being charged with murdering Tori Stafford. You're right, okay? Because everything, every single thing Terry Lynn has told us as we go through checking her story, and we've just started checking her story, has checked out. Everything. Okay? And things are starting to fall apart for you, okay? I just heard your name for the first time a couple of days ago as one of hundreds of names that I've been having my investigators look at. Okay, things changed this afternoon very quickly when we had Terry Lynn in here for a chat. Okay, and I'm not saying Terry Lynn walked in here and said, "Hey guys, guess what? I'm involved." All right, she resisted. She took time trying to convince us that she wasn't, and then for whatever reason, whatever twigged with her, the lights started to come on, and she decided, you know what? I gotta get ahead of this thing. And that's her thing, okay? That's her thing. But 10 minutes ago, an officer just handed me a fax report from London Police about a date rape allegation involving you.
That
And
would
that's
be an
only,
allegation.
Mike, that's only 3 hours in to talking to you. Okay, how unfortunate for you that within 5 months you've been accused of date rape, of drugging a girl, and now you're accused of kidnapping and murdering an 8-year-old girl. That's what this is, Mike. This is not me interpreting the evidence. I cannot take what Terry Lynn said to me this afternoon and say, oh, maybe she's mistaken.
You can't take what somebody has said to you and just, by God, believe it. Because if things were that simple, then there wouldn't be such things as court systems.
Absolutely. There wouldn't be such things as CSI people and forensics and DNA analysis.
Right.
Okay? You know that within, I would say, a couple hours from now, actually you and I will probably talk after we do it, we'll have the search warrant signed to search your car. Okay? Now, will you help me out with this? Okay, it's a simple question, Mike. Is there going to be parts of your back seat removed? Parts of the material in your back seat removed?
I guess you're going to find out.
Well, it's a simple question. You know I'm going to find out. We have your car.
Okay, well, then you're going to find out. What's the point of asking?
Because the point is, that's one of the things that Terry Lynn says she knows you did. It's
Terry
one-
Lynn rides in my car.
I
So
know.
if there's anything different about my car, Terry Lynn knows.
Right? But everything
Terry
Terry Lynn
Lynn
is
has-
saying is going to be checking out. You know that.
Okay.
You're a smart man. Okay? Nobody's claiming that you're a stupid person here, Mike. Right? And I'm not trying to kiss your ass by saying you're smart either, but that's just common
I'm not
sense.
saying you are.
But Mike, you know how much media coverage this has. You know what the newspapers are going to do with this and to your family tomorrow. Okay? You think the cops are going to be talking to everybody you ever spoke to in your life? That's nothing compared to what the media is going to be doing. This is a huge story for them. This is the next Paul Bernardo. Whether you like it or not, a girl and a guy kidnapping an 8-year-old girl and murdering her. That's one of the most sensational things that have happened in this province since Bernardo and Carla. It's going to be a frenzy, and you and I both know that. Did you know your mother's being interviewed right now?
Nope.
How do you think she's taking this?
Probably not the greatest.
Right. And Mike, we're not doing this to be pricks, okay? We're not going and talking to your friends and family to be pricks. We have to do this. Okay? If we didn't do it, the Crown Attorney would order us to do it.
You don't need to interrogate my family.
Wait, Mike, that's not even an option for me. If I didn't do that, my boss would pull me off this case so fast my head would be spinning and somebody else would be on it the next day.
Awesome.
Okay? Now, I know this is going to sound like a deal to you, but it's not. Okay, and I guarantee you it's not. Right? But if you want us to lay off your family, then you need to tell the truth. Because otherwise we have to go find the truth out from everybody else and put the pieces together. If you want to force our hand, that's fine. Okay? Because the commissioner of the OPP has already gone public saying every resource possible, and I'm sure you've read the articles, will be thrown at finding the persons responsible for what happened to Tori Stafford. There is nothing bigger in this province right now. And really, when you look at it, there's only two ways to approach this story from a media perspective. And I think the guy from behavioral science has already kind of talked to you about that a little bit. This is either two people whose lives were overtaken by drugs and all the stress and everything that goes on, and they made a bad decision, they made a bad mistake. Or this is two cold-blooded psychopaths who were planning and plotting to snatch an innocent little girl off the street. Okay? And those aren't my words, Mike. Those are the words that the media is going to use, and you know that. You can control that to a certain extent.
No,
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can, because when they ask us what you had to say about it, we can either say,
he's waiting to speak to a lawyer.
Yeah. And then it's open season for the media. They can say whatever they want.
Well, it doesn't matter what they say. It's not going to make a difference of what they say. Nothing's going to change what they say. Even if they were 100% rooting for me, it's not going to change because of things that they say. If they were gunning for me, it's not going to change because of what they say.
Right.
It's not going to make a difference.
No, it's not going to make a difference. You're right. It's not going to change the fact that you're going to be charged with murdering Tori Stafford. You're right.
Charged.
Yeah.
Not convicted.
No, I don't convict people. I'm an investigator. I follow the evidence. See, I want you to pause for a second and think about all of the potential evidence that's still to come in this case. The 401 cameras. Any of the cameras leading to that residence you went to in Guelph. The traffic cameras, cameras at stores, the Home Depot cameras. The cameras alone are going to track you. Okay? And we can talk about Tori Stafford's DNA being in your car. We can talk about how blood soaks through material and people cut out material, but it still gets to the underpadding because it happens all the time. I'm sure you watch CSI. I think you have a pretty good idea of what happens with human fluids. Okay, they seep. They seep through things. They seep through material. They get into the foam. Right? They get into the carpet fibers. We're not even talking about blood anymore. We're not even talking about saliva. We're talking about skin cells. We lose thousands of them every second. Tori could have sat in the back seat of your car for 10 seconds and jumped out and ran away. We could probably still find her DNA in your car. All that time in your car, her DNA is in your car, Mike. Okay? But the biggest issue for you is explaining why your DNA is on her body. That's the problem you're going to have. Okay? You can work through these things. You can try and figure out, how am I going to spin this? How am I going to spin that? Right?
Simply not going to happen.
Well, people tell me that all the time. I've been doing this job for 20 years, and it happens. Okay.
Fine. It also doesn't happen.
Well, it's going to happen in this case.
You think it's going to happen
Yeah.
in this case because some dread-eyed girl whose mom shoots up
I
and
know all about
stabbed
Terry Lynn.
people that. Obviously, then it's just got to be true.
See, Mike, this is the problem, though. We're only 3 hours into this conversation.
Okay.
What do I do tomorrow when I pull the Home Depot camera and I say, Mike, you're on video driving at that Home Depot parking lot on the afternoon of the 8th of July with Terry Lynn and a young female in your car?
I have a feeling that's not going to happen.
Okay, having a feeling's not good enough. If it happens, what are you going to say?
Okay.
And then are you going to say, hey, you got me, I'm sorry, I'm a drug addict now, and I was out
Hey,
of my
someone
mind.
faked a video. Maybe something along
your
those
defense.
lines.
So now we're moving from Terry Lynn's line to now the police are trying to frame me?
I never said the police are trying to frame me. You're trying to implicate something. You're trying to say something happened.
Well, if
that
I fake
you don't
my-
know
if
did
I fake
happen,
a
that you're
video-
going based on what some girl has told you.
Who's going to fake the video, Mike? Who's going to fake it?
Maybe you didn't get what I said.
I go to Home Depot security office and I have them pull their video cameras of their parking lot, because all Home Depots have them. I'm sure you've seen how they have the lawnmowers out there, how they have all that equipment out there for sale. They have video cameras in all their parking lots.
Okay.
It's a huge business. You go there, pull the tapes, and I see you on that afternoon.
Not going to happen.
Why?
not there.
Okay, and that's what I wanted to hear from you, okay? Denying something that the evidence is gonna show to be true. What are you gonna do with that? Like, what kind of conversation are we gonna have, say, at noon tomorrow, when I walk in and I say, Mike, the videotape from the Home Depot shows you there, or the videotape from the traffic light in
We're gonna
Guelph.
have whatever conversation that the
Are you-
lawyer says to have.
Yeah, you're gonna go back to, I'm waiting for my lawyer.
Yes.
And that's fine,
Okay,
okay? That's fine. But
that's where I'm standing.
don't bitch at me about interviewing your family and your friends. Your family and your
You
friends.
asked a question, I
Your close
responded.
family is
That's
probably
not
gonna get
bitching.
interviewed about 3 or 4 times.
Okay, well,
Okay.
you asked a question, I responded.
Okay. How are you gonna respond to your mom when she says, Mike, how come the media's here every day shoving cameras in my face?
I'll deal with that when the time comes.
Yeah. You know what a psychopath is, Mike?
I have never met one.
Well, I just met one tonight. It was you.
In the other room.
No. No, psychopaths don't tell the truth. Psychopaths rarely confess, actually.
Okay,
Paul Bernardo never confessed.
all right,
Paul Bernardo's dangerous offender. He's never getting out.
okay.
Paul Bernardo kept saying, you'll never find the evidence. You'll never find any DNA. It's not there. It's all over the place.
Okay. It's so funny how you can compare me to somebody like that because what a 19-year-old girl has said.
What has it got to do with her being 19? She saw what she saw. And the one advantage Terry Lynn has is being a female, being a young female. People are more inclined to believe. I mean, even when people saw the video, when they started to think, I wonder if this is a stranger that has grabbed Tori. Because let's face it, rumor around town, maybe mom's involved, maybe it's drug related, blah, blah, blah. Right, we've been hearing that forever. But even when people started to turn their minds to maybe this is a stranger. Maybe that woman with Tori on that video is a stranger to Tori. Do you think they were contemplating the fact that a female would do this on their own? No. Everybody's talking about the fact, well, some guy must have made her do this, right?
Well, I don't know what some guy she's involved with.
She's involved with you.
She's not involved with me. I'm one of dozens of people that she knows.
When was the last time you saw Terry Lynn before tonight?
I dropped her off clothes.
Okay, why if she knows dozens of people, are you the one that has to bring her the clothes?
Because I'm talking to her mother and because I'm not high all the time. Like everybody else. Like the guy who found me in a parking lot, whacked out of his tree.
What are you talking about? Do you remember telling Terry Lynn that if the police come and talk to her, that she should be telling them nothing, first of all, that she doesn't know you. And secondly, if something comes up where they can prove that she knows you, then she should tell them that that car that was released by the police, that you guys just drove Tori down to that other car and then you don't know what happened. Is that going to be your story?
It's not my story.
Was it though?
It's
I
not my
mean,
story.
how do you explain that? I was only partially abducting her? I'm a part-time abductor? What the fuck?
Okay, what the fuck?
Exactly.
Right. I'm pretty sure any more questions now can go towards a lawyer.
I don't have any questions for you. I just wanted to meet the guy that I've been chasing down for the last 5 weeks.
You haven't been chasing me for 5 weeks.
Well, I've been chasing the person that killed Tori,
Wrong again.
and you're that person, Mike.
Wrong again. But once again, you're gonna believe whatever you want to believe until, yeah, even if you don't have facts in front of you. That's not very smart.
So what do you suggest the police do when somebody like Terry Lynn comes in and tells us what she told us today? What would you do as a police officer?
I'm not a police officer. I don't know.
Well, you're obviously pissed
I didn't
off
take
about the
up law
decision we did
enforcement.
make. What decision would you make? Do you not
It's
think
not
we
up to
did
me
the
to
right
decide
thing?
that.
Okay. So why are you so pissed off about what we did?
I'm pissed off about what you did.
Mm-hmm.
No. I'm pissed off. I'm not even pissed off. I just find it funny how you can go full sure on something when you don't know.
Well, Mike, when somebody tells me that they were present when a man killed an 8-year-old girl,
Right. Somebody told you that.
mm-hmm, she did.
Okay.
When that happens, okay, we don't say, oh well, maybe after we go golfing for the week, we'll go and see Mike and see what he has to say. That's not the way it works.
No, so let's just pick him up and then say, yep, you did it. Because that's obviously got to be the right way to go about things.
Yeah. Well, community safety is the important thing here, right?
Okay, well, I'm pretty sure I'm not going anywhere right now, so that doesn't justify what you're saying or doing.
Do you have any kids of your own, Mike?
I guess you'll find out.
Do you have any nieces or nephews?
I guess you'll find out.
Yeah. Somebody told us you have a 7-year-old daughter. Is that true?
I guess you'll find out.
Okay. Well, if you did, and this happened to her, and I came over to your house and said, hey Mike, we just had somebody tell us who abducted and murdered your daughter. We'll look into it, see what comes up. Would you be happy with that?
Yes. That's your job.
Yeah, because you wouldn't want us to go and arrest somebody just because somebody told us they did a murder, right?
Of course not.
No.
Why would I want someone to just get arrested just because some Joe Blow said so? Then everybody might be arrested because everybody thinks that everybody did it. So let's just arrest a whole lot of them.
Why do you think Terry Lynn would confess to this?
I have no idea.
I mean, let's face it. If Terry
Because
Lynn
he says
goes,
Terry Lynn's on a video. Looks like Terry Lynn's out of options. Terry Lynn's already in
No.
a juvie. Terry Lynn already has priors. Terry Lynn has already been accused of stabbing people. I don't know.
But we didn't arrest Terry Lynn until Terry Lynn told us she was involved, right?
Okay.
She came in here for a chat.
Okay.
Okay. We asked her permission to come out on a judge's order and come and talk to us. Okay. It wasn't until Terry Lynn told me that she was involved in this all started to happen. Okay, so this isn't Terry Lynn getting arrested and trying to save her own throat by throwing it on Mike.
I don't know. Maybe Terry Lynn thought she was out of options. I don't know.
Well, for a girl who thought she was out of options, she should have given us a hell of a lot of details.
I can't answer you. I don't know.
How many more sexual assault allegations are going to be on the databases for you?
I guess you'll find out.
So assuming there's more. I
I
guess
guess
you'll find out.
Right. I'm glad you're getting a hold of things.
Yeah.
Are we done?
I'm not done. Are you done?
I'm done.
Okay. So the last thing I cover off with everybody I talk to in situations like this, Mike, is pretty straightforward, okay? Rodney Stafford and Tara McDonald have to be notified about this. Okay. First question out of their mouth is going to be, what? Did they say why they did it?
I'm sure one of those two will have the answer for you, why somebody would do it.
What are you getting at, Mike? What are you throwing out there for me, buddy?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You're gonna talk to them
No.
anyways.
You know what, Mike? If you're gonna claim you have no involvement whatsoever, don't play games with me and throw out little hints and see
No,
what comes of
There's
it.
no game, there's no little
Okay,
hints.
there's nobody involved in this except for you and Terry Lynn.
Once again, you're just gonna believe whatever you wanna believe,
Yeah, I believe-
based on what some girl has told you.
See,
Whatever. This is why I said I'm done. This is why from this point on, nothing else comes from my mouth. And if you want to speak to somebody, you can speak to who might be representing me.
We do that all the time.
Perfect.
But we don't have a need to talk to them. That's what the Crown attorneys do.
Okay, well then the Crown will talk to them. I've already given you my answers. They're not good enough for you.
What did you think was going to happen, Mike? You think you were going to walk in here and say, oh, I wasn't involved? Okay, Mike, sorry, Father, you can go now?
Maybe.
Well, one of the things we have to assess is who looks like they're being more truthful. Okay? And I sat through a long, long conversation with Terry Lynn today. I saw her try and tell me she wasn't involved. I saw her try and resist. I saw her try and dig in like you're digging in now. Okay? And then the light came on for her. She started to realize that it was kind of weird that 2 months ago, 3 months ago, whenever it was, here comes Mike out of the blue, walking up to her in a pizza place because he saw her walking in there and just thought she was just so stunning that he just couldn't drive by. As we're talking, the light starts to come on a little bit more, and she starts to realize that, yeah, that's freaking weird. That doesn't happen to people every day. Okay, but you're a pretty smooth talker. All right?
Sure.
Well, there's lots of people who are going to come out of the woodwork to say that, Mike, okay?
Okay.
All right? We got a girl in here tonight. I don't even know her name because I've been dealing with you. She's talking about how she met you and the kind of guy you are. All right? She's not going to be at your bail hearing in the morning. She's not going to be your biggest supporter.
Who would that be?
I don't even know her name. Blonde girl, saw her on the video.
Saw her on the video.
Yeah. She was in another interview room. We can find her name out for you if you're that interested.
Sure.
She's not been around anymore. You got the girl in London. You apparently wined and dined and
Which girl in London did I wine and dine?
I don't know her name. I gotta
Exactly.
get the report. Is it going to give me credibility if I go get the report? I can walk in here and tell you what her name was?
No.
No.
But it wouldn't sound like such a bullshit story. But whatever.
Are you trying to tell me that you weren't interviewed by London police in January about a date rape allegation where a girl said you
What
drugged
does
her?
that have to do with what you just said?
Just what I said.
That's who you're talking about?
That's all the women in your life. Okay.
That's
All the
who you're
women in your
talking
life, Mike, are going to come out and they're going to talk about how much of a slime ball you are and how sleazy you are.
Well, just because I'm sleazy doesn't make me what I'm being accused of. Those are two totally different things. I can see that. It's funny how you can't see that.
What do you want me to see? What do you want me to see, Mike?
it doesn't make a difference what you see.
Like,
Because-
how many days have you spent in jail?
None.
You understand that for the first degree murder of an 8-year-old girl, the chances of you getting bail are slim to none, right?
Okay.
You understand that? Okay, having done this job for 20 years, all right, I'm not going to give you any false hopes.
Okay.
So what you're telling me is that here's Mike, who's never spent a night in jail, but is now willing to spend, probably, in my experience, 18 months to 3 years before this even reaches trial. And then he's going to be vindicating himself somehow. But you'll just suck up that 18 months to 3 years in jail.
I never said that. But once again, what does that have to do with this?
Well,
Nothing.
see, I would expect that somebody, an innocent man, would at least be saying to me, can I call, who knows, my boss, my cousin, my neighbor, somebody who can tell you where I was on the 8th of April, who can tell you I wasn't driving around Woodstock and Guelph with an 8-year-old girl and Terry Lynn McClintock in my car. Anybody, any alibi. 3 hours people have been talking to you now. Not once have I heard you say, I'm innocent, talk to this person. I'm innocent, talk to that person. They'll tell you where I was that day. They'll tell you what job site I was on or what thing I was working at that day. We're talking 3:30 in the afternoon. See that, Mike, that would make sense to me, because
Okay.
that would mean that that person's spoken to tonight, we could turn around and say, holy crap. And then Mike wouldn't have to spend a night in jail, wouldn't it?
So if I tell you where I was, who I was with, what I was doing, you're gonna let me go?
If it's valid.
How long does it take to validate that,
I don't know. It depends who it is and where they are.
roughly? How long before I'm out?
Mike, who am I talking to? Where are they? How do I get a hold of them? How can I answer that question until you tell me who these people are?
If these people are into things of their own, does this mean they're gonna get in trouble?
Mike, I can tell you this. I've probably talked to over 100 people in the last 5 weeks, myself alone. My investigators, probably over 500 people. I'd say at least half of those people are either drug dealers, drug users, fraud artists, whatever. They've all admitted it. They've all been investigated for it. Not one of them has been charged with a criminal offense. Because our goal is one, to find that kid. Do you know where you were on the 8th of April?
had a few people I was supposed to meet that canceled that week. I had somebody over the morning when all the helicopters were going crazy. We went to London in the afternoon. And we talk to my lawyer tomorrow.
I think that would be a good idea, Mike, because one of the things you have to be aware of is if you create a situation, okay, where somebody else ends up stepping up and trying to be your alibi, and if their story is investigated and shown not to be true, they can be charged with accessory after the fact
Okay.
of murder.
Well, their story will be true.
And again, I'm sitting here wondering why I'm giving you the opportunity. You want me to be fair, you want me to listen to both sides.
I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I'm still hungry. It's been a long day. It's
And the
been
next 25
crazy
years
day.
of your life
So
are on the line, Mike.
Then it can wait one more day when I talk to a lawyer and I know exactly all my rights.
You have two rights. You can talk to a lawyer, which you've done, and you can keep your mouth shut.
I have a lot more rights than that.
Like what?
Well, I don't know. That will be for the lawyer to tell me.
Well, I'd be interested to know what new ones are out there that I haven't heard of.
Okay, well, we'll see what the lawyer tells me, what all my rights are. It'd be pretty stupid of me to just start saying whatever you want to hear without a lawyer present or without a lawyer instructing me on the right legal things to do.
Well, just imagine something for a second here. Say 6 months from now, the police come and they visit you in jail. And they tell you that at, what time are we at now? Whatever time in the morning it happens to be, 3:30 in the morning on Wednesday, the 20th of May, there's a convenience store gets robbed just down the street from here. Same time that you and I are sitting in this room right now. They come and investigate it, and let's say who knows, they get a tip, somebody tells them, hey, Mike Rafferty robbed that convenience store. So they come and they arrest you for that robbery. You're telling me that you would not even consider saying to them, hey
I never
guys,
said I wouldn't consider that.
hey guys, you screwed up. Go talk.
I never said I wouldn't consider that. And it's documented that I'm inside somewhere. It's documented that I'm sitting around with a bunch of police officers. It's documented that I'm on camera. So
this isn't something that I have to discuss with somebody.
But this
Something
is the
else
truth.
is something that
You're
it's best
putting
to...
out that the truth is,
I want to speak to
that-
a lawyer.
yeah, you can speak to a lawyer all you want, but you're putting out the truth is
I'm done
that you
talking.
weren't there,
I'm
and
done.
that, yeah, I think that's a good idea, Mike.
Thanks. You said that earlier. I should have just...
I
That's
know,
it.
and you
I'm
keep
done.
doing that. You keep saying, I'm done, I'm not
Okay,
talking
we're
anymore.
done.
And then you say, oh, I have an alibi.
We're
And
done.
maybe I'll tell you. Maybe I won't. Maybe I need a lawyer here to tell me to keep my mouth shut because I can keep my mouth shut on my own.
We're done.
Is that what you said to Tori before you killed her? We're done?
Funny man.
Funny man. That's what you think this is funny
I think
man?
you're a funny man.
I think you're a cold-blooded killer.
You can think whatever you want. I've already denied that.
I think you're a cold-blooded killer, Mike.
If you're trying to get a rouse out of me, not
No,
going to happen.
I don't need
I
a
already
rouse.
denied it.
I don't need a
We're
rouse. The
done.
evidence tells the story.
You haven't gotten all your evidence.
No, it'll take us months, bud. It'll take us months
Uh-huh.
and months and months. And you'll wait in jail
Okay,
until that happens.
great. And then when it's all over, I can say bye-bye
Bye-bye to what?
to you.
To freedom?
Yeah, right.
I'll be there to say bye-bye to you.
Okay.
Believe me, I've worked
Okay.
long and hard on this case.
Okay, good. Get ready to keep working.
I thought you weren't going to say anything anymore. Why can't you stop yourself from
Why
talking?
can't you just go away?
Because this is my job. This is what I do. 5 weeks of looking for you. I wanted to spend a little bit of time with you, Mike. This is gratifying to me,
Okay.
okay?
Okay.
Because you and I haven't spent too much more time now than you forced Tori Stafford to spend in your car. You could have let her out anywhere along that route. You could have killed her without sexually assaulting her. And that's what I wanted to sit across from tonight. See what it's like to sit across from a guy who, when he abducts an 8-year-old girl, is so turned on by it that before he kills her, he has to have sex with her. So if you ask me why I'm sitting in this room, I'm sitting in this room for Tori. Making you squirm, putting you through some of the grief that you put her through. That's why I'm in here, Mike. And I'm having a good time. Tomorrow morning, I'll have a briefing with my officers and I'll congratulate them for 5 weeks of good work. And then we'll get our first piece of evidence. Then we'll get our second piece of evidence. Then we'll get our third or fourth or fifth or sixth. Who knows how many we're going to end up with? 20, 30, 40 pieces of independent evidence. It wouldn't surprise me, based on past experience, if we don't even need Terry Lane as a witness when this is all said and done. Because now that we know the route and we know all the ins and outs of what went on that day, everything else is going to tell the story. You are a sick puppy, Michael. This is a good day for us. Because with any luck, you'll never be free again.
You'll need that luck.
I think we're going to get lots of it.
Start counting your pennies.
Been here lots of times, but But you're doing it again. You can't keep your mouth shut. Focus. Thinking about it now? Are you pissed off about the fact that this is Terry Lynn's fault? That she got one that was a little bit too old to let her go? A little bit too old that she would know what you guys look like. She'd know to tell the police what your car looks like and what you and Terry Lynn look like. Should have done it yourself. Wouldn't that be a different story? You had the balls to do this yourself. You didn't have to send a 19-year-old girl to kidnap an 8-year-old girl for you. You may not be here right now. Could have recovered your own tracks. That's what happened to Bernardo too. You know what that girl's biggest concern tonight was? That was being interviewed? The part that I caught? She wanted to make sure she could get into her car. She got tickets to go to Vegas in the morning. Something tells me she's going to go home and have a long, hot shower to wash the grime off. What do you think those people in that house in Guelph are going to say? I can guess what they're going to say. They're going to say, first of all, they're probably going to say, no, don't know Mike, doesn't come around here. Then, when they find out, wow, you think Mike might have done this murder, do you really think they're going to be Big Mike supporters then? Do you think they're going to keep the faith and say, no, let's lie for Mike? I don't think so. It's pretty hard to find support when that's the kind of thing you're accused of. People tend to tell the truth pretty quick. Are they going to be liars too? like, this is why we don't need you to say a word, but this is why you should keep your mouth shut. So everybody else is going to tell the story. Eight years old, Mike. 8 years old, buddy. You drug an adult, they go to the police. So you grab an 8-year-old stranger. All she wanted to do was go home, have a little party for her friends because her mom just redecorated her room for her. That's pure evil, but and that's all I've seen for the last 3 hours is pure evil from you. And as much as that guy from behavioral sciences wanted you to get all weepy and say, oh, poor me, the oxys, my poor grandmother, my poor mother, you don't give a shit about them. You don't give a shit anybody but you. And that's exactly what the judge is going to see. Because when the Crown Attorney calls the biologist to testify to the hair, the skin cells, the semen that was found on Tori, and the blood and the skin cells of Tori that was found in your car. And they're going to play the video where you say, you're never going to find my DNA on Tori. You're never going to find Tori's DNA in my car. That's what you are. No remorse. No empathy. No nothing. You're just hollow. The nice thing about the place you're going to be spending a good chunk of your life is they actually have glass cells. So you and Bernardo can make googly eyes at each other all day, whatever you guys do in there. So it's nice meeting you, Mikey. Enjoy the rest of your life. This is the kind of room you're going to be spending it in.
go back in your cell now, okay? Follow me. Do you got a snack there that you want to take with you, or
Okay.
cookie? Yeah, that's fine.